Here we go. Good morning. It's a Wednesday morning. Welcome to Lake Wissota. Nice to have you here on this September 17th, 2025. I'm Pat Kreitlow, and what a busy show we have today. It is a day of announcements. Some big announcements regarding the 2026 election. We will be talking to a guest who today is making official her run for a seat in the Wisconsin Legislature. And later, we'll be talking to somebody announcing their run for governor. Brand new announced candidate. We had, State Senator Kelda Roys came into the race. What was it? Just day before yesterday, getting the work week started. And next thing you know, we're going to have another member. We do not. Let me say this right. We had a state senator who just announced, and now we have a state representative who is announcing a run for governor today. And so we'll be talking to State Representative Francesca Hong all about that coming up on the program. So we've got Francesca Hong, we've got Corrine Hendrickson talking about her big news. We'll be talking to Earl Ingram as well about his What's Going On podcast with Earl Ingram. We'll be talking to Bryn Horton from the Wisconsin Public Education Network in our Homeroom segment about education bills. Civic media reporters Jimmy Koska and James Kelly and Melissa Kay on this National Pet Bird Day. We'll get the latest from Lilu and what else is happening with our sister station in Wisconsin Rapids. That is all coming up at 6:06 all across the Civic Media Radio Network and right here. We'll see you in just a little bit.
The directive aims to protect health by prioritizing science and accessibility.
Meanwhile, a member of Evers' cabinet is resigning this week. Missy Hughes is leaving her post as secretary and CEO of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. WEDC is a public-private agency that supports business development through loans, grants, and tax credits. Hughes has led WEDC since 2019. Her resignation takes effect on Friday. There are rumors she could be considering a run for governor after Evers announced his retirement. Evers says they're already searching for her successor, and they'll announce her replacement in the coming weeks. And National Voter Registration Day was yesterday, but the Madison City Clerk's Office is celebrating all week with registration drives. Every day through Saturday, there are at least 3 locations across the city where you can register to vote. Many of them are at libraries, but those 3 locations change every day. I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
The Badgers try to regroup. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. College football. After losing to Alabama, the Wisconsin Badgers hope to bounce back when they host the 3-0 Maryland Terrapins this Saturday. Badgers head coach Luke Fickell are trying to turn around the program in the NIL portal transfer era.
Whether you're playing with 3 redshirt freshman offensive linemen or, a lot of guys that, their first time playing together with us, we have to make sure that we aren't just focused on the destination. Saturday will take care of itself.
NFL, the Packers had their first road game this week. Safety Xavier McKinney says they can't overlook the 0-2 Browns this Sunday in Cleveland.
I still think they got a good team. I think if you look at their roster of who they have on their team or what they can do, they got a lot of talent. It can turn around quickly for them.
Baseball, it's the Brewers and Angels tonight in Game 2 of that series in Milwaukee. Brandon Woodruff gets the start. Last night, Freddie Peralta pitched 6 innings, allowed just 1 run, 2 hits, 10 strikeouts on the way to a 9-2 victory for the Crew. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
92.7 WMDX, Madison's real news and great conversation, and home to the Todd Allball Show, Monday through Friday from 2 to 4.
It is going to be mostly sunny today. We'll get to around 87 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy. We're going to drop it down to the low 60s for an overnight low. Tomorrow, another sunny, warm day with a high right around 85. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 59.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
Kira Sabin, positive psychology midlife coach.
People cannot take away our joy. When I spend time with people I love, putting my time and energy in things that I love that I think are important, not much has really changed. If you are worried about LGBTQIA plus rights, go volunteer at that organization.
You know you're moving the cause forward, and that's great for our mental health.
The Todd Albaugh Show. Weekdays.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06 on this Wednesday morning, September 17th, 2025. It's another beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota, from wherever you're spending your mornings, listening across the Civic Media Radio Network. Or perhaps by app or podcast or website or social media. However you got here, glad you got here. I got a question for you. Did you notice the change in seasons recently? Not fall. No, not the school year. No, not football. Campaign season. We have not one, but two campaign announcements on this program to share with you this morning. The first one is just a couple of minutes old. State Representative Francesca Hong making it official. She is a candidate for Wisconsin governor, and she will be joining us in the 8:30 half hour to talk about her run. We will play her introductory video in just a bit. We had to censor it first. If you know anything about Francesca Hong, it's that she's very, very, she does not pull punches when she speaks. How about that? We will also be talking to Corrine Hendrickson. She is a now former child care provider in the new Glarus area. And of course, she has been quite frustrated with the state of politics in our Wisconsin legislature when it comes to looking out for working families. She made it official on this show that she would have to close up her child care center, that it was just no longer something where, well, she didn't want to lose money. Nobody does want to. And so she's had to close up her child care center. And now she's ready for what's next. And she has an announcement that she's going to be making on our program this morning as well. So campaign season for 2026 is definitely underway. And we are one of the places where candidates stop on their way to 2026. So we hope you stick around and hear what Francesca Hong and Corrine Hendrickson have to say. If you can't stick around for everything, you can always pod the program, head over to Spotify, sign up there, or Apple, wherever you get your podcast, and that way you have us on demand wherever you go. Also coming up on the program today, we have our Homeroom segment. We will be talking to Bryn Horton from the Wisconsin Public Education Network about what else is happening in the state capitol along the lines of education. You know, the state budget's done, but there's all kinds of bills that legislators have been introducing that could affect the way that your kids get an education. Some could be helpful, some could be meh, some could be just downright annoying or nuisance, or even harmful to public education, undermining public education. So Bryn Horton will talk to us about that in our 7:30 half hour. And of course, it's Wednesday, so we have no shortage of civic media friends to visit with as well to tell us what's going on in their respective necks of the woods. There's James Kelly reporting from Chippewa Falls. There's Earl Ingram in Milwaukee, Jimmy Koska in Boscobel looking at sports and news in Southwest Wisconsin, and Melissa Kay from our sister station in Wisconsin Rapids on Parker Olson, producer of this program. What is National Pet Bird Day? Yeah. So we're hoping for a big update on Lilu here. Yes.
That's fantastic. Who knew
I
there was
know.
a pet bird day?
There-
That's so specific.
If we've learned nothing from our history segment, our daily
True.
history lesson is that there is a day for everything. And I don't even read them all because there's so many of them. I mean, there could be National Retro Bar Coaster Day as I hold up a coaster that I don't know where we got this back in the 1980s, but it's
Those are cool, though.
still
That would be
around.
a good day.
Got to put your coffee cup on something now and then. So yeah, it's Pet Bird Day. There's a day for everything.
Okay.
Here's what there's not a day for.
Uh-oh.
Publishers Clearinghouse and the Prize Patrol bringing a great big oversized check to your door and promising that you're going to get so many thousands of dollars for life. So many people have believed this over the years. The look I'm getting from Parker tells me the Prize Patrol is not a thing. Correct? Nope.
Right over my head. Not a clue.
Well, that's because this was run by Publishers Clearinghouse, which is a magazine sales company.
Okay.
When was the last time you subscribed to a magazine? I'm sorry, let me restate the question. Have you ever subscribed to a paper magazine that was delivered to you in the mail and that you sat leisurely and flipped through?
Hard no on that one. Yeah.
No, because you already have that with you right there. Here it is. It's that little phone, that little device that can bring up anything from anywhere. So basically every magazine is now a website or an app or social media posts. And so Publishers Clearinghouse, which for years was, the place where you would get your magazine subscriptions. They'd send you this mailer. I'm explaining this to Parker, but don't, you're like, what's he going to, yes, he is. They would send you once a year. They'd send you this and big envelope all filled with all kinds of flyers about all the money you could win and all the great deals on magazines. You could get TV Guide, Newsweek and Time and Sports Illustrated and Popular Mechanics. And then there'd be this sheet with all these stamps on it, each one with a different magazine cover. And kind of like we talked about with Columbia House with the records, using the mail was like how you did all this stuff, Parker, back in the day before there was email, when it wasn't electronic, when it was lick a stamp, put it on the card, mail it in, you get your discounted Sports Illustrated just in time for the swimsuit issue, but you're also entered for the possibility that the Prize Patrol could show up. And as they took great pains to say, you didn't even have to buy a magazine. You just had to send the envelope back and you were entered into the sweepstakes. And then, of course, you'd get a knock on your door. Well, you wouldn't. It never happened to me. But, there would be, somebody there with a great big check and TV cameras and balloons and everything else, all set to give you money, which included sometimes rather than one big check, it would be so much, per life, like $5,000 a month for the rest of your life, which again, it's not that you'd necessarily retire on it, but that's a pretty nice thing to have along, Did
people actually win this, or was this just something?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Which gets us to today's story. Publishers Clearinghouse is no more. It has gone bankrupt.
I wonder why.
And now we do know why, but you know who else really wonders about this? All the people who were promised cash for life and are now shocked to find out that promise is being broken.
Yeah.
So the remnants of Publishers Clearinghouse went through its bankruptcy process and some other company bought it, a company called ARB. And ARB says, well, we still want like the direct mail part of the company and the online parts of the company, but we're not buying the part of the company that's responsible for making payouts. So that part is still bankrupt, and the people who were promised forever checks are not going to get them. In their Chapter 11 filing, Publishers Clearinghouse listed at least 10 prize winners among its creditors with the largest unsecured claims totaling millions of dollars. One man who won $5,000 a week forever back in 2012 told the New York Times he knew something was funny when he didn't get his annual check from the company back in January. So he has had to scramble to pay the bills. without the money that he has learned to rely on for the past 13 years.
Oh,
And it's running out. CNN has a story about somebody who's had to sell all of their toys, their jet skis and their boats. And he said, I haven't worked in 10 years. I have to go to work now. And he has no marketable skills to get into the job market.
Well, if he had a bunch of boats, maybe he could start like doing boat tours.
Do a marina or something, but he's got nothing to gas up the boats with. So this all dates back to 1953 when a couple, Harold and Lester Mertz, and their daughter Joyce formed a business out of their home in Long Island to send direct-to-consumer mailings that solicited subscribers for a number of magazines, and then they would get a little cut of each magazine subscription. And it grew, and they started doing these contests in 1967. And all throughout the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s, I mean, everybody would buy their, even if they just wanted to renew one magazine or something, and they'd always hope that maybe this was in the years, of course, before multi-state lotteries and billion-dollar jackpots, and you just hoped that lightning would strike and Ed McMahon or somebody would be at your door to give you the big check and money for life, unless people stop buying magazines and we ain't got no more money to pay you with.
I assume that inflation happened quite a bit during the time of them doing this.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Did they start with, because you said it was like the 50s? Did they start with like, here's $1 a week?
Well, they started in the 50s. The contest started in 1967, which tells me that, I mean, that was the heyday for magazines. I mean, everybody had magazine subscriptions and newspaper subscriptions. And I have to turn around here and tell you. Let me get it up.
Boy. He's looking behind himself. He's reaching to the floor for our listeners at home. And now he has something.
I still get a paper copy of the Atlantic Monthly. Of course, I picked one that has a nuclear explosion.
I was going to say, is that a bomb?
Yeah, well, it's marking 80 years of the nuclear era and how scary it is to have a goofball with his finger on the button. Yeah, so I still get it. Although by and large, when I see interesting articles from the Atlantic, I'm going to go to their app and I'm going to read it on my phone. But there was just that part of me. It's like, I feel like I got to have some. And frankly, I do. Sometimes when we travel or whatnot, it's, when you got to put your phone in airplane mode, it's nice to have that to look at. But no, people don't anymore. So yeah, by the 60s, they had enough money that they could set up a contest, figured interest rates would go up. So their savings would go up. So there'd always be something to pay out. Until it didn't happen anymore. From Tony on YouTube. I used to subscribe to the international version of Newsweek. Now they don't make any version of a physical magazine. No, they do not. You still see them in the bookstores. If you go to what's its face, Barnes and Noble. I mean, the racks are full of these magazines. I don't know who's buying them. They're very specialty based.
Probably dentist office. That's the only place I can think of.
Somebody's got to be buying them, right? So anyway, I'm sorry if I'm the bearer of bad news for folks, but if you were counting on your Publishers Clearinghouse money to keep you going, I might suggest going to get a physical newspaper and looking through the want ads because it's time to find some work. Let's check some sports now at 6:18. Christian Yelich hit home run number 29 and had 3 RBIs. All-star pitcher Freddie Peralta struck out 10 over 6 innings. He won his National League leading 17th game as the Brewers beat up on the Los Angeles Angels 9-2 last night. Freddie Peralta looked good. He allowed 1 run on just 2 hits. He walked only 2. He struck out the side in 3 different innings. William Contreras had 2 RBIs. There were other key swings by Sal Frelick, Caleb Durbin, Andrew Vaughn, and Jackson Churio. Brandon Woodruff will get the start in tonight's game 2, and you can catch that at, I believe, 6:05. Yes, right there, 6:05. Pregame of the Brewers versus the Angels on stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. I predict another win, Parker. I think we're looking good. The magic numbers now, it's Cubs 1, but the magic number drops to 7. So
is your elbow, does it have a little twinge of wind in it?
A little bit, yeah. That the bursitis is telling me this is what we're going to get today. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we will talk a bit about monopoly money and inflation and corporate America and what they all have in common coming up next. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota. Thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Okay, Luke, can you
got
hear me
the
right
Francesca Hong tape ready to go?
now? Yes, Pat, I have it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Hi, Luke.
Luke?
Luke, where are you, Luke? Uh-oh.
Feels like the beginning of
Luke,
Star Wars.
bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
All right. Well,
the work on the phones goes on.
Yes, it does. We're back in 30 seconds. I'm going to have to
It's
drop
a
you.
project that never ends.
Sorry. Guess we have to keep trying. Ah. Oh, I'm not needed.
Secret show.
Don't you love that?
Just about 6:23 now. Nice to have you along. It is 64 degrees here in the Chippewa Valley. Brittany Merlot will have a state forecast coming up live in just a little while after the 7 o'clock news, but she did let us know that the heat is going to be hanging on for one more day. Chances for rain keep sneaking in, and then a big system is going to slide through the state over the weekend and make things a little wetter. For today, partly sunny and warm. Showers and storms are possible into this evening in western and northern parts of the state. Highs today will be in the low to upper 80s, just the 80s overall, depending on where in the state you are. A southwest wind at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Spotty showers and thunderstorms tonight, partly cloudy otherwise. Lows once again near 60 and a light northerly breeze, but it has been just phenomenal. The sleeping weather here lately, but can't beat that. So again, back to the political news of the day. State Representative Francesca Hong will be with us at 8:35. But during this hour, she did put out the note officially confirming her candidacy for governor. If you're not familiar with Francesca Hong, we're going to play some of her campaign introduction video here for you. We had to first run it through and bleep one of the words that she's known for because she tells it like it is. Actually, let her tell you like it is about her background and why she's decided to run for governor. Give a listen.
It's so stressful to get by these days, and I know a lot about stress. I work in restaurants. I started in this kitchen 15 years ago, and you might recognize what's across the street. A lot of people in that building don't get why it's so hard to get by right now. Working hard doesn't mean you can always keep up. One wrong step can lay you out flat. This is by design. I'm State Representative Francesca Hong. I'm a service worker, community organizer, and a mom. I work for a living. Always have, still do. 5 years ago, my community sent me to the Capitol. The system is rigged. I'm running for governor to fix it. For years, we've been told that doing better isn't possible. Well, let me tell you, that's all we need to do is fight together. We can fully fund our public schools and have universal childcare. We can guarantee paid leave and have cheaper healthcare. We can fix a rigged system that puts oligarchs over workers and small businesses. We can do better. Don't let anyone tell you we can't do this. We can build a Wisconsin where we share the table. I'm Francesca Hong, and I'm running for governor because I know that together we make better possible.
And there you go. That's State Representative Francesca Hong talking about she worked in a restaurant right across the street from the state capitol and has been a member of the state assembly and a rather outspoken one. She is clearly going to run, to the left of the rest of the Democratic field, unapologetically so. She herself, being a chef and a bartender, says more bartenders need to be running for office. Think of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And she is a member of Democratic Socialists of America. She is part of the Socialist Caucus in the Assembly, who, by the way, includes reps from Milwaukee and from Eau Claire with State Representative Christian Phillips, who recently submitted an op-ed that we're going to publish here soon about how we need to get over what Republicans love to seize on the S word, socialism, and really get back to the heart of what it means for a government that works for the people rather than for corporations. And so we'll talk to Fran Hong about that coming up at 8:30. There's also, in talking about corporate America and its hold on the economy, there were several random notes that caught my attention in the past day or two. There's a lot about the current sluggish economy that we can peg to moves by the White House, but there's more out there than that. It's about big business getting bigger. And this reduces competition. And competition is the most important factor that keeps prices manageable. But there are so many things that show off how, as these companies get bigger, we continue to get nickeled and dimed. And to the point where it almost makes your paychecks worth about as much as monopoly money. And monopoly being the key word, because it's not like any one company has full monopoly control, but their share of the market is so much bigger when there's that many fewer competitors. For example, there's a story yesterday about how a St. Louis-based grocery chain is going to acquire Wisconsin-based Festival Foods. And this will include 42 Festival Foods locations, 9 Hometown Grocers locations. The company, Schnuck, out of St. Louis, is a family-run company as well, and as was Festival and its original roots. And so that's not to say that by itself there's something, that's ominous there. It's just another case, as we've seen in the grocery industry, of some of the big companies getting bigger, their buyouts, their acquisitions, and so. Despite all the words said yesterday, dedication to hometowns and employment and everything else, it's just something to watch for at a time when grocery prices, don't appear to be going down. You have XL Energy, which is asking for a rate hike. We talked about this with Robert Craig from Citizen Action. Utilities, again, have a near monopoly in their marketplace. And even when they make a profit, they are always looking to hike the rates a little bit more in that ongoing battle between shareholders or customers. Who do you serve? Remember, we talked to Jim Payne up in Superior, the mayor there, about the water utility, the only privately held water utility in the state of Wisconsin, and how maybe getting it out of private hands and back into the public sector will be better for ratepayers, the actual customers of the water company. But you even have Ben & Jerry's, which is now part of a big corporation called Unilever, and where the Jerry of Ben & Jerry's has just announced he's resigning from the company because he's feeling muzzled politically by the company Unilever, their corporate parent, which makes sense when you've got somebody like Derek Van Orden trying to play big brother in policing the thought and the speech of people all around Wisconsin. So there's no easy answer for all these things. just a random assortment of things to watch for so that you don't continue to get nickeled and dimed and have your right to free speech chipped away bit by bit. We'll have today's history lesson in just a bit. You're up north. And no Publishers Clearinghouse. What has happened to corporate America?
Dun, dun, dun.
So what was Luke? Tony, frustrating morning with 2 kids and the moo sound made me laugh out loud. Good. Thank you. See?
Luke hung up the first time because you and I were talking, so he didn't want to hang out there for the whole time. And it didn't show me that he hung up. So when I took it, there was no one to talk to.
Gotcha.
And he called again, and I did hear it.
Okay.
So, as far as I understand, we're good to go here.
With a dump button.
With a dump button.
Okay. You know what we need? Do we need to test that to make sure that it actually works on air? No, I mean, we wouldn't have somebody say a bad word. We would just know that, maybe they're going to count to 3, 2, 1, 0, and you try to hit the dump button on 0.
Well, we would only be able to do that while we're live.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I guess.
Or do we just do it on faith? That'll work.
Oh, what's the fine? 90K?
Yep. Yeah. What can they do to us, right? All right,
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Farms and in the community. It's our people, products, and pedigree that combine to make a true difference that you can see on the bottom line and feel in your heart. Learn more about our difference makers at dairylandseedifference.com.
Cash flowing the farm through the harvest season. That's one of the goals that John Heinberg, market advisor with Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend, is suggesting. And he said you may need to use multiple tools to do that.
This market's going to have a lot of potential volatility in it, especially because of, at least where the corn demand is. So there's some things that we've been talking to producers about. Again, we want to keep things fixed. We want to minimize the risk in terms of margins and things of that nature. A call is a one-time cost. Pay for it. You got the position working and just let it work. Whether you use somebody like myself or even talk to your elevator about it, those opportunities are out there that you can keep some ownership over this crop into the spring.
John Heinberg, market advisor with Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend. He says have those conversations with your elevators or your crop advisor right away and try to capitalize on any ups that might develop. Not many ups this morning in Chicago. Right now, December corn is down 0.5, 4.29. November soybeans are down 6, 10.44. The wheat for July of next year down 2, 5.71. Yesterday in Chicago, the barrel cheese remained unchanged, 161.25. 40-pound block cheese did gain a penny, 162.75. AA butter down another nickel, 177 a pound. And the October class 3 milk that goes into cheese is down 6 right now, 16.59 a hundredweight. That's just a quick snapshot on where the numbers stand rolling into a Wednesday trade session. More available now, MidwestFarmReport.com. I'm Pam Yankee. Catch Farm Report updates throughout the day from the Midwest Farm Report, right here on 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be mostly sunny today. We'll get to around 87 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy. We're going to drop it down to the low 60s for an overnight low. Tomorrow, another sunny, warm day with a high right around 85. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 58.
I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show. If you're looking for honest talk, real stories, and straight-up news that matters to you, tune in to The Rick Smith Show. We're digging into the issues that affect your job, your family, your future. Join me weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network, because your voice deserves to be heard. That's The Rick Smith Show, heard weeknights at 9 right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hey there, Wisconsin. Tom Hartman here. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so join me each and every weekday right here on Civic Media for the Tom Hartman program from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Covering the news of the day and sharing ways for you to get off the sidelines and get active in your
Can we talk about one-hit wonders for just a moment as we kick off today's history lesson on this Wednesday morning, September 17th? That is the Sanford Townsend Band, Smoke from a Distant Fire, which on this day in 1977 peaked at number 9. And to this day, almost 50 years later, I'll hear that come on. It was, one of my favorite songs at the time. It's had a lot of legs ever since. You can still hear it on classic radio stations. And you go, that was a really good tune. How come they never did anything else? What is it about some bands and some writers, and they can just pump things out like crazy? And you don't have to go into the whole list of one-hit wonders, but you hear one sometimes and you go, I really thought that person or that band was going to be bigger. And you hear the hit and you go, oh my gosh, that's the only thing I ever heard from them.
Yeah, there are a couple of times that I've heard a song that I've really liked and thought, I'm going to check out this band. And I've looked at the band and I'm like, wow, these guys suck. Why is this song
they got
good?
lucky once? Okay, all right. Well, that could be it. Maybe some other talented songwriter slipped them a little something and said, here, try this. And they struck pay dirt on one. Couldn't do it any other time other than that. But whatever the reason, the Sanford Townsend Band peaked at number 9 this day in 1977. All right. I was joking about Ed McMahon earlier, and by sheer coincidence, this is the anniversary of the beginning of the Ed McMahon hosted show Star Search. It made its debut on CBS in 1983 on this day, and then later went into syndication. Here's from 1990. Here's a little of the intro to Star Search.
From Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world, it's round 2 of the 1990 competition on Star Search with Ed McMahon.
For all the stars that would appear on that show as beginners, how come one of them couldn't stick around and replace that guy as announcer? From Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah. He's really working that vocal acting, huh?
How did he get that gig? Anyway, the show itself was a juggernaut in, of course, the years prior to the internet, where you had things like this as a way to get your big break. This is a partial list of names that you may have seen for the very first time on Star Search. Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Alanis Morissette, Sawyer Brown, Jessica Simpson, Christina Aguilera, Tiffany, Leanne Rimes, Usher, Shanice, Aila, Pitbull, Destiny's Child, comedians Dave Chappelle, Ray Romano, Brad Garrett, Adam Sandler, Dennis Miller, Bill Engvall, Carlos Mencia, Drew Carey, Steve Odenkirk, Kevin James, Rosie O'Donnell, Norm Macdonald, and Conan O'Brien. All were on Star Search when they were unknowns looking for their big break. That show was like, it felt like every talent agent in the business was watching this, looking for their next get,
So American Idol is just jealous that they couldn't be what Star Search was.
Yeah, to a degree, but I think they, what they've done and America, well, not so much America, The Voice is the other one I was trying to think of, is, they've really gone for that niche singing, but Star Search was like all things, kind of like America's Got Talent. It was singing, it was comedy, it was anything like that, but it didn't have the Simon Cowell kind of, sassy judges kind of thing. Yeah. It was just very much a straight rating scale from whatever judges they had or the public. I forget who all voted at different times. So of course it was a simpler time. It was a nicer time. Whereas the shows now, they got to get complex. They got to get all the production value in there, and they've got to have conflict. And Star Search was just a plain old fashioned variety contest show, talent show. That was it. And people liked it.
Never heard variety shows on here before.
No, we never talk about that at all. All right. So let's go back to the music charts. On this day in 1955, this was the number 1 song by Pat Boone.
This isn't the song that I thought you would sigh for.
Me cry when you said goodbye. Ain't that a shame?
Oh God, it hurts to play it. This is the sterilized version of the Fats Domino song. We had talked about it 3 weeks ago. The Fats Domino version peaking at number 10, and then Pat Boone did the cover and it went to number 1. And so to cleanse our palate, here's Fats Domino with the better version.
You made me cry when you said Goodbye, ain't that a shame?
Now, there was some good that came out of Pat Boone remaking it and going to #1 back in 1955, is that Fats Domino did get a lot of attention, and since he wrote it, it earned him substantial royalties. So that was a nice thing. Let's move up the timeline to 1968, when the psychedelic soul anthem from the Fifth Dimension was certified gold with this tune. This, of course, would be the Fifth Dimension's Stone Soul Picnic. Let's see, what else do we have today? The United States Constitution was signed at Independence Hall in Philadelphia this day in 1787, bringing the Constitutional Convention to an end. Birthdays today include the late Junior Bridgman, the former Milwaukee Bucks star turned billionaire entrepreneur. He was born this day in 1953. He passed away this past March at the age of 71. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes hits the big 3-0 today. 30 years old for Patrick Mahomes, and this is the anniversary of the birth of Hank Williams Sr. in 1923.
Your cheating heart will make you weak.
Now, to be clear, country music was different then than what it is now.
Yeah.
Where you could literally yodel like this and become a star. On this day in 1983, Vanessa Williams became the first Black Miss America. On this day in 1984, John Waite hit #1 with Missing You. And happy 74th birthday to Fee Waybill of the Tubes, who was born this day in 1950, making him 75 today.
Step right up and don't be shy, because you will not believe your eyes.
That's another group. I think the Tubes only had like 2 hits on the charts, and I thought that they'd go a little further, but they did not.
It was a weird music video to see.
Oh, they were all weird back then. I mean, Melissa Kay is here from WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids. She'll back me up on that. Weird music videos, which
Good morning. I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but I think it's funny.
Yeah.
That Parker thinks they're weird.
Parker thinks they're weird. Yeah,
that's fair.
Can you imagine locking him in a room with MTV for a day and then just watching 80s music videos and then having him give his take?
The commentary.
Part of
this music video was a kid sitting on a little cart and a woman in like latex, I think, like holding him as they went on like.
Well,
a
it's
ride.
a very burlesque type of deal. You know, I mean,
Latex clothing then was normal. It's fine.
Well, there was a lot of things that were normal in the 80s we regret now. Melissa, how are you today?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Today on the National Day calendar, this is National Apple Dumpling Day. I don't know if I've ever had apple dumplings, but I've eaten my body weight in apple crisp, and I'm going to have some more here because
my mom made fruit dumplings a lot when I was a kid.
Really? Okay. That sounds good. But more importantly,
rhubarb and strawberry.
Oh, well, I mean, you lost me at rhubarb, but strawberry dumplings, that could be fun. Sure. More importantly, on the National Day calendar today is National Pet Bird Day. Congratulations, Lilu and Melissa.
Ooh.
How is Lilu these days?
You know what? I really think that Lilu is going to fly again someday because, remember how I told you they flew up to the top of their little box that I made for them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they've started to fly up to the top of the table, which is next to it, which is twice as high as the box.
Oh, baby steps.
Fly right up there.
Or baby flaps, I guess, as the case may be. So Lilu, the rescue pigeon, may fly again.
May fly. A determined, stubborn bird.
No, that's a wonderful thing. That's great. So yeah, you probably didn't know there was a National Pet Bird Day, so you probably didn't plan to do anything special. Lilu's not going to get like a little tiny cake or something like that.
Rice is
a rice cake.
Rice
Okay,
cake.
I see what you did there. That's
Lilu
very
like
nice.
Do we know?
What?
Does Lilu like rice cake? Do we know?
Well, Lilu loves rice.
Yeah.
Just rice. That is the thing. So we'll find out if Lilu likes rice cake.
Well,
if it's rice, like kernels formed in a cake, they will love it.
Maybe because I'd tell you this. A lot of people like popcorn, but if I offer you a popcorn ball, you're going to say, get that away from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although when you think about it, I mean,
difficult to eat.
yes. Well, they're like kettle corn, and people like kettle corn. But then take kettle corn and form it into a ball and then leave it alone for 2 weeks while it gets good and stale,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how it's supposed to work at all. Let's see. I got one more music note to pass along. Kanye West went to number 1 this day in 2005, along with Jamie Foxx. This is, of course, Ray Charles's "I Got a Woman" is being sampled here. And the year before, in 2004, Jamie Foxx had portrayed Ray Charles in the film Ray. He does an amazing Ray Charles, but we're going to bring that down now because even though I've confirmed this clip 15 different times, you always want to make sure you get the clean version.
I genuinely could not believe there was a clean version of this that we found.
I know. And the internet being what it is, just because it says clean version, you don't take it on faith. You listen to that puppy all the way through and you make
the internet lies, Pat?
It's been known to happen. Yeah, it does. It's not entirely unprecedented, So trust but verify. That's what we like to do. So what have you been up to out there in beautiful central Wisconsin?
Well, we're getting ready for our upcoming events. We're involved in the Christmas tree walk this year. And guess what, guys? We're decorating our tree. Like, we're pulling all the elements of WFHR and WIRA into it with a Agatha chicken head as our tree topper. We're going to have cranberries looping the tree. I've almost convinced them that we need to take like dry corn, like out of the field corn, and break it up into pieces to use as ornaments. We're going to put CDs with our like information on them as ornaments. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to do it.
Well, very interesting.
Yeah.
It's
the Southwood County Historical Museum, and different organizations can have a tree to decorate that then as people walk through the beautiful mansion that is our museum, and see all of the different trees from the different organizations. So it's our first year doing that.
That's, good for you guys for planning for Christmas now, because I'm the kind of guy that it'd be like the week before and I go, well, I suppose we should do something,
Well, it takes a while to make a paper mache Agatha chicken head.
I'll bet that it does. Yes. And is that your job?
Well, Ashley and I are taking that on.
Okay. Well, then I can
We're a
see
team
completely working.
We're having an art night. There might be wine. I can't say.
No, I can say, and there should be. Melissa Kay from 97.5 WFHR and 105.5 WIRI in Wisconsin Rapids is with us for today's history lesson. Coming up right after the 7 o'clock news, we're going to be talking to Corrine Hendrickson, former childcare provider in the New Glarus area, who is going to make a campaign announcement coming up in just a few minutes here. That's followed in our 8 o'clock hour by State Representative Francesca Hong, newly announced candidate for Wisconsin governor. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead. Let me hear that, Pat.
Whew. Dodge that bullet.
I love how like the end of it was just all we had to just we're gonna make that all just go away.
I was going to give you a clean out, but I thought there might be other events or things to talk about in Rapids. So in case you wanted to stick around.
If I could talk about my transition to full-time news and the expansion of the news team for Civic, I would like to do that.
Melissa's big goodbye. So
yeah.
But
I have plans.
The
plans.
Well,
I do.
All right.
There may be a script in the works for a radio drama.
A radio drama.
Ooh. I'm a fan of this idea.
Yes. We're working on a Halloween special again this year, and it might be included in that. We'll see.
That's fantastic.
I might be calling on certain people in Civic to do a few lines for me to include in it, because I think that would just be fun. And then I'm going to put it all together.
There you go, Parker. It's all on you.
Hey, I did theater in high school.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still one of the few people I know who didn't do theater.
Really?
Oh yeah, way too shy.
But
Hard
do
to
you
believe. I
enjoy
know.
theater?
I like it. Yeah. Yep. I just I
Oh,
have
that was
no
convincing.
self-confidence that I could pull it off, you know.
Okay, but you like going.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I love,
Okay.
everybody loves good storytelling. So, and good performance and all that. So yes.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. We got a minute and a half left in the break. So I'm gonna get some more coffee. Be right back.
Concern about the dangers of concentrated wealth and power in America. Now, the fact is, you may not care how much money another person has, but you likely do care how much power another person has, especially if they're using that power to rig the rules of the economy to make themselves richer and you poorer. You see, there is a point where money is no longer money, it's power. And when rich people use their money to drown out the voices of everyday people, it threatens the safety and security of us all. Patriotic millionaires don't want to live in a country with a few extremely rich people controlling everything, leaving millions of people struggling to just get by. Luckily, we have a solution. Tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. I'm Chuck Collins. I'm a patriotic millionaire, and I approve this message.
Shop Furlough Mattress during our Labor Day sale. It's our biggest sale of the season. Get a free box spring with a mattress purchase or upgrade.
We're back in 30 seconds. Pat turned off his camera, which he normally doesn't do. So I'm curious if there's a prop
right here.
Oh,
right here.
I thought you'd bring a prop or something. I don't know.
No. Again, not that clever. Brewers continue their series against the Los Angeles Angels this evening. Pre-game coverage at 6:05 on several civic media stations around the state. Also, sign up for our newsletters at Up North News. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com. You can get the Sunday morning newsletter that I put together about the week in politics and the question of the week, which is all about Ron Johnson and conspiracy theories. And is it possible to pick just one that we could get him to stop talking about forever and ever and ever, or not? And of course, we've got our new weekday newsletter editor, Ellie, who's getting started with us and has put out the newsletter this morning that includes stories about, oops, hit that page over there, Pat. Where can you find the peak fall colors in your favorite Wisconsin destinations? So she talks all about the Travel Wisconsin Fall Color Report. And also, Wisconsin parents are rightly concerned about the cuts Donald Trump and Republicans want to make to Head Start, which is a critical link for vulnerable children to get a good education. Again, sign up for that at upnorthnewswi.com. Now I can set those notes aside. Welcome back, Melissa Kay, as well, along with producer Parker Olson, and talk about Melissa and, chapters. There's different chapters out there. And, what's the saying? When one door closes, another door opens. But until that door opens, it's hell in the hallway. But now a new door is going to be opening for Melissa. There's been these periods of joblessness, and you have to make up, the right way to rationalize those times. Melissa's not going through that. She's immediately going through the next door, which involves doing much more work with the news department at Civic Media, correct?
That is true. I'm moving into full-time news for Wisconsin Rapids area here, which is part of the transition that Shali Pittman, our new news director, is working to incorporate for all of reporters to just focus on news, because there's a lot of news and there's a lot of time it takes into, as you know, Pat, the amount of time it takes for journalists to do solid, good reporting that's fact-checked, that's, investigated. It does take time and effort and resources. So I really appreciate that she is putting in that effort. It's a little bittersweet to be leaving shows like yours and the morning show, but I am really looking forward to the extra time, because there's a lot to dig into. Just like the solar farm story that's happening here, there's so much research I need to do with that. The rail, the expanded passenger rail story that is coming out of Toma area and hopefully through here. There's just so much interesting information that I think is important for our communities to know that's happening here locally. The more we focus on local and the more we build up and share and learn about our communities, I think the closer it brings us as a community.
I am so genuinely excited about this because Civic Media, again, I'm not an employee of Civic Media, but I'm like your next door neighbor, something like that. And just and I hang out on your front porch every morning, and that's not
And we
creepy,
appreciate you.
creepy at all.
Come over
Yeah.
for sugar anytime.
There you go. But I have just so enjoyed watching the growth of this network and the recognition that, okay, now we've grown these radio stations and we've grown these talk shows, but you've now got a news department that is one of the largest in Wisconsin now. And
Geographically.
pardon me?
Geographically.
But I mean, just in terms of you've got bodies everywhere around the state, which a lot of places cannot say.
Mhm.
And so to enable that news department to be doing even more for local news coverage is a good thing all around. It's good for the listeners. It's good for you having more time to work on news stories. And as we say at Civic Media and at Courier Newsroom, Up North News, I mean, we have been watching local news, especially local newspapers, die left and right. And so any kind of investment in local reporting, that's good for democracy. That's good for, voter education. It's just a great thing overall. And I'm so glad you're doing this.
Yeah, it's good for our state. It's good for our communities. I appreciate that people appreciate the local news, because anytime I talk about it out in the community, they're like, what? Really?
Mhm.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And they're excited to sign up for the newsletter and they read our stories. It's really refreshing.
It is. And so it's going to be great having you work on those things. And so less people think, well, wait, no more Melissa. Well, in much the same way that we've got other Civic Media news folks on now and then to tell us what they're working on, you'll be doing the same thing, just not with the same regularity.
Correct.
But as things come up, we are going to be genuinely excited to have you back here and find out all the things that you're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, I'll have to drop in with a Lilu update.
Absolutely.
Our producer Laura at our station here in WFHR created a breaking news with pigeon coos, so she'll have to send that
Breaking
to you.
news with pigeon coos.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you don't see that every day, nor hear it every day. So that's outstanding.
Yeah.
Melissa, thank you for doing that. And thanks for being part of our history lesson for all these Wednesdays. It's been outstanding.
It's been years now.
It has been, hasn't it? It
Yeah.
probably feels like a decade to you, but I'm appreciative. And that
I've enjoyed it.
and that you take us on the journey of, first off, telling us there's a thing called rescue pigeons and the application process and the
Mhm.
screening. I'm so glad you passed the background check. I mean, now in this day and age,
Me
you might
too.
not. They scrub your social media posts for everything.
I'm still glad that you weren't robbed.
Yes.
This was a good chapter of that where we thought you were getting scammed and going to get robbed.
Yes. Yeah. And be forced
You
to
guys
wear
made me nervous.
forced to wear a pigeon costume instead. Just a terrible.
Oh,
There were
God.
terrible directions that this could have gone in, and it all went perfectly. And look
Appreciate
at
you
you
coming
You're-
along with me on the journey.
You're such a good mama bird. We appreciate you, Melissa. Thank you so much. Take care. Say hi to everybody in Rapids for us.
Thank you, guys.
All right. You take care out there. And again, Melissa will be part of Civic Media's news coverage along with the entire rest of the team. For example, James Kelly will be here 2 hours from now, updating us on the things that he's working on for news stories in Western and Northern Wisconsin. We'll have Jimmy Kuska here 1 hour from now doing the same thing. And we've got Earl Ingram coming in just after 8 o'clock as part of the What's Going On podcast that you can get through Civic Media too. We've got Corrine Hendrickson standing by. We're talking about campaign announcements. Francesca Hong, new candidate for governor, will be on at 8:35. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right. Fabulous. Melissa, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
You
This
know-
has
you
been
know-
fun.
You know where to find us.
Oh yeah. I'll send you a couple Lilu pictures of them exploring.
Yes,
And then
please.
when there's updates, I'll send you a text.
I'm looking forward to the video of the first flight. It'll be like Orville and Wilbur, just it'll be a little sketchy, but it'll get done and it'll only get better. So,
and then they'll escape my pigeon pen, and then we have problems.
Yeah, then we will have problems, but let's cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, we'll see you later.
Bye.
See you, Melissa.
All right, Corinne, how are you? Oh, let me see.
I'm doing well.
There you are. Hi. So you're ready for today's events?
As ready as I'm going to be, right?
Okay, sounds good.
It's a good thing I've had some practice.
Yes, you have.
Be freaking out.
Oh no, you're going to be great. Okay, well, good. Well, I've been getting the emails, and so I've got the notes here. Anything else that I need to know? Anything new that's come up, or is everything still going according to plan?
I have elk horns.
You have what?
I have elk horns coming.
What? Oh, okay.
The big Swiss horns.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Because it's New Glarus. Like,
of
come
course.
on.
Yes, of course. Silly me. All right. Well, good. All right. Well, you look good. You sound good. So we'll put you back in the waiting room and we'll come get you right after the news and weather.
All right.
See you in a
Thanks.
bit. Okay.
Pat, do you want anything about TikTok and Festival Foods and Excel in the show description? I noticed that you have that at the bottom. But
I didn't get to the TikTok part, but I did mention Festival and Excel. Let me just go back and look at what you got here. Oh, that line down there. No,
Yeah.
I was supposed to get rid of that line. I'm sorry.
okay.
Nope.
I figured. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. Nope. That's all good. If anything, we could add a sentence. And Melissa K tells us about how civic ethics is growing its coverage. There we go. Get a nice little Melissa mention in there. Okay, there. Now you should be good to go.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some news.
A statement says the directive aims to protect health by prioritizing science and accessibility.
Meanwhile, a member of Evers' cabinet is resigning this week. Missy Hughes is leaving her post as secretary and CEO of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. WEDC is a public-private agency that supports business development through loans, grants, and tax credits. Hughes has led WEDC since 2019. Her resignation takes effect on Friday. There are rumors she could be considering a run for governor after Evers announced his retirement. Evers says they're already searching for her successor, and they'll announce her replacement in the coming weeks. And National Voter Registration Day was yesterday, but the Madison City Clerk's Office is celebrating all week with registration drives. Every day through Saturday, there are at least 3 locations across the city where you can register to vote. Many of them are at libraries, but those 3 locations change every day. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
The magic number is 7. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports Baseball. The Brewers host the LA Angels again tonight. Last night, the Crew with a 9-2 win. Christian Yelich, a 2-run homer in the 4th. Now, 7 is the Brewers' magic number to clinch the division, but Yelich says it's still too early for all that right now.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to focus on winning that night, like not even thinking about like the magic number. We need to just keep stacking wins and playing good baseball, and that'll take care of itself. You can't do that in one night. When you start looking ahead, then things can get away from you a little bit.
College football, the Badgers getting ready to host Maryland Saturday at Camp Randall, kickoff 11 a.m. NFL, Packers wide receiver Jaden Reed confirming he's now had surgery to repair his broken collarbone and foot fracture. Meanwhile, Christian Watson says his new contract extension takes some pressure off as he tries to come back from that torn ACL.
For me, I mean, it was really just to, take that pressure off of myself so I can kind of just go out there when I get back and just play free.
That's Packers wide receiver Christian Watson with Sports on Mike Clemens.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX, Madison's home for the Todd Allball Show, weekday afternoons from 2 to 4.
It is going to be mostly sunny today. We'll get to around 87 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy. We're going to drop it down to the low 60s for an overnight low. Tomorrow, another sunny, warm day with a high right around 85. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 59.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
Talk about overall mental health, how we cope with this non-stop, overwhelming news. Tom, thanks for calling. What say you?
Nobody can do push-ups indefinitely, but bring this back to mental health, and suddenly we feel we should be able to pound through this without taking any kind of a break. And it's just not the way that it works. So do any.
All right. How's Brittany?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks. All right. Under 30 seconds. See you in a bit.
$15 seconds.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back. Nice to have you here up north on this September 17th, Wednesday morning, September 17. Keep that number 17 in mind as we talk to our next guest, Corrine Hendrickson, about the 17th State Senate District. Details to come right after Brittany's weather. And then in our next hour at 8:35, we will be talking to State Representative Francesca Hong, who announced this morning that she too will be running for Wisconsin governor next year. So we have a gubernatorial candidate coming up in our 8 o'clock hour. And that's not all. There's also tomorrow we'll be talking with former Racine Alderman Trevor Young, who has just announced his candidacy for the state Senate in the 21st district, the seat held since 2010, I believe, by Republican Van Wangard. So a lot to cover this week with the change of seasons, not just back to school, not just fall, campaign season as well. But let's get to the fall part of the season with meteorologist Brittany Merlot, who joins us along with Parker Olson, who's producing things down at Madison Studio A2. And I did not realize, because it's dark at the start of the show here, so the show is well underway, for me to notice it is really foggy up here on Lake Wissota this morning. Is that something we're seeing all over the place?
Yeah, definitely up north right now. Dense fog from Eau Claire through Hayward into Ashland and Superior. That's going to be here for about another hour or two. Temperatures, too, right now in the mid-50s to mid-60s across the state. We're also seeing a few thunderstorms starting right now, pretty much from Amory through Rice Lake, and that could extend towards the Minocqua area, too. We have a front just sitting here over the northern part of the state this morning. So that's kind of the case as we go through the next day. This front is going to slowly make its way south through the state, and then the system, the low pressure itself, will eventually move into the state for the weekend. So yes, wet weather ahead and cooler temperatures too, but not today. We're still looking very warm across the state, low to mid 80s everywhere. Some of us will be nearing 90 once again. It will be a sunny day, especially south into Madison and Milwaukee. Clouds will be increasing though west and north throughout the afternoon. Drizzle is possible far southwest midday. And then we're looking at more small storms sparking up again this evening, especially northeast in our state. And then tomorrow, cooler, slightly cooler, especially north, only mid-60s up north. 80s will still be felt down south tomorrow. Scattered spotty showers are expected kind of statewide, very isolated, very brief and small, but chances for sunshine still hang on into Madison and Milwaukee until the weekend. That's when that low pressure system arrives. So heavier rain and storms on the way.
Conceivably, today and tomorrow could mark the last of the mid-80s.
It could. Yes,
it could, unless we get a nice little warm spell in October, which does happen, by the way.
Does. Even in November, it's happened. So
yes, okay. So shut up, Pat. Don't get ahead of yourself here. Good morning from Tigerton, writes Rob. Partly cloudy and 59 degrees. It felt a lot like mid-July rather than mid-September. Yesterday was busy mowing lawns in Wittenberg. To me, this is the first that has been actually dry, a lot of dry grass that's drying out for the first time since spring. Today he's got a mowing job in rural Tigerton, a doctor's appointment in Shawano, and he writes no fog in the Tigerton area. Tony writes that these 80-degree days have been killing me. It's so hot and I refuse to turn on my air conditioner. You live on Lake Superior. You have the world's greatest air conditioner up there, Tony. The Tony also adds, it was so foggy I could barely see the turkeys crossing the road. Unacceptable. You got to be able to see the turkeys when they're heading
and
across.
the deer up there.
Yes, exactly. And so that's from Tony, and that's from Rob, and we'll have more from Brittany coming up in 1 hour. Brittany, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Also a note up here from our friends at Motherhood for Good, who are saying good morning. I sense they maybe want to hear more from one of our next guests coming up. This is a candidate announcement kind of day, candidate announcement kind of week. You had State Senator Kelda Roys getting into the race for governor a couple days ago. I just mentioned State Representative Francesca Hong also joining the governor's race. There are state Senate candidates, one I just told you about in the Racine area, and now one potentially in the New Glarus area, as we welcome in Corrine Hendrickson to tell us what she's going to be up to later today, former child care provider in the New Glarus area. Corrine, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's still really weird to hear former in front of that.
I completely, it's weird for me to say it, and it's not something we necessarily like to dwell on, but the thing that's prompting, your change in what you do on a day-to-day basis is rooted in a Wisconsin legislative leadership team that did not ever seem to take everything that you said seriously about just how serious childcare and other issues are for Wisconsin families. And so consequently, what's that meant for you? What is it that you plan to be doing throughout the day today?
So it means that I guess I have to do it myself.
There you go.
So I am officially running for State Senate District 17. That is the southwestern part of Wisconsin, which we have some really good progressive Democratic roots, and we just need to get back to them. And a lot of it comes down to the lack of affordability in our daily lives, whether it's groceries, childcare, our property taxes continuing to increase because our state refuses to invest in our public schools appropriately and instead is cutting taxes for the wealthy and to keep the powerful in power. So at 10:30 this morning, I will be launching at the New Glarus Village Park. Super excited because in New Glarus, it's a tradition to have elk horns, and there will be elk horns there as well. So I'm hoping that lots of people will join me and support me in my newest adventure.
Those are those big Swiss horns, like you're as if everybody's going to get a Ricola lozenge or something at this point.
Maybe that should be my thing.
There you go. Instead of tossing candy at parades, you're tossing cough drops. It could be whatever works for you. Now let's take care of the elephant in the room, or shall we say the donkey, because we're going to be talking about primaries, and that 2026 is probably going to be a year unlike any other in terms of primaries. You've got an open governor's seat, an open lieutenant governor's seat, an open secretary of state seat, and you've already got 3 Democratic candidates announced in the 3rd congressional district, and now you have in these state senate districts, at least 3 different state senate districts now, there will be primaries as well, and that includes in your district where Representative Jenna Jacobson has also already announced. In this case, let's just bring it down to this particular example in the 17th Senate District. There is a motivator for multiple Democrats to want to run, and that's because the Republican incumbent, Howard Marklein, chairs the Joint Finance Committee. So, I mean, all the more motivation for Democrats to jump in, right?
Oh, absolutely. I also find it interesting that so far, Senate 17 is all women. Lisa White is also running. And the CD3, which is Van Orden's, is all women too. So I feel like there's a little bit of, women wanting to make sure that we can take care of our families and our communities and stepping up into this space. I think it's good there's a primary. I think we can, learn from each other. I think the voters have a right to choose because, we fought for gerrymandering. So that's part of why there's so many also interested. This seat is now winnable because the lack of gerrymandering. In our state, we have fair maps, but at the same time, have a robust primary because that's the way for the people to decide who they want on their party ticket, I guess you would say. So I'm looking forward to, getting to know people and proving, that I'm the hardest worker and I'm the best for the position.
The comments are already coming in, including from Tony, that says it seems like a great opportunity for new faces and for new ideas as well. And now, again, I'm not looking to make Senator Howard Marklein, the issue is certainly not the centerpiece of your campaign, but the symbolism of a co-chair for joint finance in budgets that cycle after cycle after cycle seem to be out of sync with what he and others are hearing at all those budget public hearings around the state, again, seems to be rather representative of why anybody is running for legislature around Wisconsin this year.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at the Joint Finance Committee hearings, when you look at the Assembly and Senate hearings in office at the Capitol, they're being told over and over and over again, this is what we want, this is what we need. And then they refuse to do it. 2 years ago, when they did the special session for the workforce, they had 200 people send letters, 100 people show up and speak to the fact that they wanted this special session bill to pass. And after the hearing, they put an amendment in and completely gutted the whole thing. And so really, we need people that are not just going to say they're listening and that they understand there's a problem, but that they care enough to do something about it and are willing to go outside of their box that they put themselves into, of their opinions of what's important to, it feels like almost it's what's important to them themselves, instead of listening to what their constituents have to say.
Well, I think it's pretty clear, talking to Corrine Hendrickson, state Senate candidate in the 17th district, what you're going to be hearing from Republicans and others, because, I mean, we've been hearing this for 15 years or more, and it's going to go something like this. Well, there she goes again. Here's another tax and spend liberal, and she and Tony Evers and everybody else, they just want to tax and they want to spend. And, we're the ones that are holding the line on taxes. We're the ones that are holding the line on spending and being more fiscally responsible. That's what you're going to hear over and over again. So now that I've teed that up, what are you going to tell the voters?
So it's more of an investment. It's more, how do we spend the money that we take in for taxes? Currently, our state budgets have been to the point where they encourage the people who have the wealthy and the most money to keep as much money as possible, to hoard that money. And meanwhile, the rest of us are working as hard as we can. And we're not seeing that money. We were promised with some of these tax credits that job growth would happen, job creation would happen. We don't need to raise the minimum wage because the employers will do it automatically for us. And that's not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is that those tax cuts have actually starved our public schools from the resources that they need. And I'm really worried, and people in my area are really worried about this next year with all the referendums that are likely to come, or, if they don't pass, or schools really, don't want to continue to increase property taxes, what are they going to cut? The first thing is music and art and, sports and musicals and all the things that enrich our children's lives and, make them want to go to school as well, and just make them more well-rounded individuals, and then allow our communities to have things that we come together over. The musical sells out every year here. I have elk horns coming today. If we don't have a music program, there won't be kids who can play those instruments. We won't have the fundraisers at, the festivals, because there will be no music at those, because our state is refusing to invest and cutting it. Same thing. We have a dire workforce shortage, but we have a huge number of parents of young children who want to work, but they can't because they cannot afford and access childcare. Those of us in the field, I can't do it. Those who are remaining in the field of childcare are struggling. 2 more just announced their closing that have been open for over 20 years because they can't afford to keep going, because they can't charge parents anymore. They're losing kids. I'm hearing now of kids at 5, 6, and 7 are going home. We're back to the latchkeys of the 1980s, and it's just not safe, and it's scary, and it does not have to be this way. So again, it isn't tax and spend. It's invest our money appropriately so that we recoup those losses, that we recoup that money, and we grow our economy, we grow our communities, and we, have our kids can come back to the small towns that they're vacating right now, because there just isn't anything for them in there.
Yeah, and you've definitely made the link, not just for childcare to then K-12 education, but again, to small businesses. There are all kinds of employers that are practically begging the legislature to do something because they're losing too many good workers to this childcare crisis as well, and they want well-educated workers. So you're going to hear these themes and more from Corrine Hendrickson. Her website is CorrineFor17.com. Corrine is CORRINE. CorrineFor17.com, and on all the social media sites, just put in Corrine for 17 as the handle, and you'll get her on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and more. Corrine, thank you so much for taking time to make your announcement with us this morning. We really appreciate it. Have fun with the horns at the announcement, and we'll talk again real soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Pleasure seeing you, and best of luck as you move forward. Again, there are going to be primaries in several races here, so really keep that August date in mind if you plan to vote Republican or Democrat, and get to know the candidates in your local community. We'll have our homeroom segment coming up in just a bit. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, we're in the break. Thank you, Corrine. That was wonderful.
You're welcome. Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate it.
You
And yeah,
bet.
have a good rest of the day. I'll have to listen in at 8:30.
Yes, definitely. And hopefully, if Fran doesn't swear, we'll stay out of trouble here. So it's all good.
I heard you trying to decide how to do your little button.
Yep. Parker nailed that.
Remind her to spell the words. That's what she had done at some of our rallies.
Oh, very nice. Yes, I'll throw that at her. All right. Thanks, Corrine. We'll see you later.
Yep, bye.
Bye now.
A beautiful lake, bike trails, recreation, acres of public hunting, festivals, and great people. Slow down. We're just a short drive away, so come join us. Worthington, it's worth a look.
Does Trump's big bill end taxes on tips and overtime? No. President Donald Trump's new law exempts certain tip and overtime income from federal tax, but the deductions expire in 2028 and come with limits. Workers earning under $150,000 can deduct up to $25,000 in tips and $12,500 in overtime. Social Security, Medicare, and state taxes still apply. The Tax Policy Center says 2% of households will benefit from the tip provision, saving $1,800. The White House estimates $1,400 in average annual savings from the overtime deduction. I'm Trisha Young for Wisconsin Watch. Fact Briefs are bite-sized fact checks of trending claims produced by Wisconsin Watch and GigaFact. Read more at wisconsinwatch.org.
This portion of the John and Gordy Show is brought to you by Madison Hearing Aid Center, 4706 Cottage Grove Road in Madison.
Who is this John and Gordy of which they speak? No idea. I got nothing.
They're fiends.
Remember, you can sign up for our newsletters, upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe up in the top banner, and you can subscribe to Sunday Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, all about political news of the past week, and also our weekday version, which today includes a story on when you can expect peak fall color at your favorite Wisconsin destination. Travel Wisconsin is putting that together, and we have an article about that in the newsletter. Also, an article about Wisconsin parents who are rightly concerned about the cuts that Donald Trump and Republicans want to make to Head Start, which is a critical link for vulnerable children to receive a good education. Again, that's in our newsletter. Sign up at upnorthnewswi.com. The Brewers were winners yesterday against the Los Angeles Angels. Final score was 9-2. Christian Yelich hit home run number 29. He had 3 runs batted in. Freddie Peralta struck out 10 over 6 innings. He won his National League leading 17th game. Peralta allowed only 1 run on 2 hits. He walked only 2. He struck out the side in 3 different innings. Brandon Woodruff will get the start in tonight's game 2 against the Angels. Pre-game begins at 6:05 on several stations across the Civic Media radio network. Of course, the Packers are back in action this coming Sunday at noon against Cleveland. You can hear the pregame starting at 10 a.m. Sunday on some Civic Media stations. And the Wisconsin Badgers football team opens the Big Ten part of their schedule this Saturday. They will be hosting Maryland. And again, 9 a.m. for the pregame this Saturday on some of the stations of the Civic Media radio network. I guess we can tell the story now of Corrine Hendrickson's announcement, because she's mentioned a couple of different times how she wanted to kind of make it official here first, because it was on this show when she was talking about having to close her childcare center in New Glarus because of an unresponsive legislature, that she said something along the lines of, well, I guess I might just have to run for office. And as people got to talking about that, she said, well, I did mention it first on your show. We should probably share the final announcement here, the formal announcement. And I'm very thankful that she followed through and did. because the actual announcement will be at 10:30 this morning in New Glarus, but it was very kind of her to come share it with us today. Usually what happens is the announcement comes and then they kind of do the media tour afterwards. For example, Francesca Hong made it official in the 6 a.m. hour that she's running for governor, and now she will be joining us just over an hour from now at 8:35 to run for governor. Some of the reaction is already coming in to Corrine Hendrickson's run from Adam. Comment on YouTube: as a resident in the 17th district, I'm so happy to see the excitement to challenge the incumbent. That would be Republican Howard Markline. And Corrine talked about all the women running for office. 3 women now in the 17th Senate district, 3 women running for the Democratic primary in the 3rd congressional district. And Tony puts up typical lazy men not getting involved. For example, Pat refusing to run for governor. Shake my head, he says. Well, Parker, what do I do? Do I prove him wrong and make my own announcement?
Well,
and if I did, where would I do it? Would I do it on my own show, or would I give somebody else the scoop? I mean, Todd Alba, I'd probably announce on his show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not as much of a bang if you do it on your own show.
Right. I mean, people might think you're just goofing around. You show up on somebody else's show.
Yeah. And Todd Alba he's a bang.
In fact, I could take it a step further. I could announce on all the different shows. I could announce I'm running for governor on Todd's show. Then I go on Maggie's show and say, I'm actually running for attorney general, because she's an attorney. So she could quiz me on that. And then the next day I join Jane and Greg and say, on second thought, Secretary of State. That's it. So it's my thinking out loud tour. What should I run for tour of radio shows?
That actually could be quite the little
scam. Scam. It would be a scam. That's what it would be. Tony saying announcements come in 3s, 2 so far. Yeah, quite possibly. And Eli says Corine's explanation of spending in the right places hits the nail on the head. It absolutely does when she talks about those investments, because it is such a knee-jerk thing to hear Republicans go tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend. And they've lost all credibility on that with this most recent bill from Trump, the big bloated boondoggle, because it's not cutting spending. It's cutting the things that you're paying your taxes for. It's cutting healthcare. It's cutting nutrition programs. It's cutting farm conservation programs, but it's not saving anything. This is literally just robbing from the poor and giving to the rich. And so the whole tax and spend, deficit spending thing, Republicans have absolutely zero credibility anymore. They had credibility literally for decades in this era of Reaganism. But the record proves time and time and time again, they don't actually save any money. They cut services, they give tax breaks to the wealthy, but the only times, for example, that the federal budget has been under control has been with Democratic presidents. They're the ones who are more fiscally responsible because they take our tax dollars and actually put them to use for us. Look at how this job market has softened so badly, so quickly. The difference between a Biden administration and a Democratic Congress that was making investments of our tax dollars into infrastructure and all kinds of other things, versus now all we're hearing is cutting and cutting and cutting, but we're not saving any money. It's just going to be tax cuts for the very well off. But I mean, what to expect from somebody who is really only focused on enriching himself and his friends, as the president is. And the last example I'll leave you with is this rumor that TikTok is finally going to have a new buyer and that it won't be a simply Chinese-owned company anymore. But it looks like the ownership is going to be from people associated with Oracle and other companies who are buddies with Donald Trump. And it's just more consolidation of the media. It's almost like what happened in Hungary with Viktor Orban. It's kind of the Orbanization of the media, where the companies are still going to, take money from us, but they're going to bring more value to the billionaires who own them, because we have that much less competition out in the marketplace. Our homeroom segment is coming up right after the Midwest Farm Report. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. right. And there's Bryn. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
So we've got, let's see. Have I got any document that I'm working off of in terms of what all you're following right now at the Capitol?
No, because there's not tons. So I'll try to touch on what I can, but
sure. Where do you want us to kick off?
Well, we can start, I think, with maybe the slate of bills that both sides of the assembly have introduced, and then where we think those are likely to go.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Well, good. Well, you know how this all works, so I'll tuck you back in the waiting room and we'll get going in just about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Call 800-450-9858 to learn more. Terms apply. See website for details.
Sally Ladston is the Wisconsin Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources Education Consultant at the Department of Public Instruction. She's also the state FFA advisor, and she says they're thrilled to announce that there's more FFA chapters starting up this year around Wisconsin.
We have seen a few chapters chartering, and actually that's something that's been kind of, I'll say, booming. And, the numbers aren't staggering by any means, but compared to the past number of years, we're seeing quite an increase in chapters that are getting interested. This year, we're excited to welcome a couple of new chapters. Winnebago Lutheran is one. iForward, which is a virtual school up in Northwest Wisconsin. And then we're also seeing some changes in how chapters are structuring themselves.
Sally Ladston with the Department of Public Instruction and the Wisconsin State FFA advisor, she says, because of all the strength in students enrolled in agriculture education and food-related classes, they've needed, obviously, more educators. She said the good news is Wisconsin's got flexible alternative licensure options to keep those programs moving forward.
At the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, they know your business has always been something special. Now you can let customers know it too in an instant with the red and yellow Something Special from Wisconsin sticker. Joining the program gives you access to supplier and distribution information, marketing support, and a community of like-minded Wisconsin businesses. Best of all, you'll let people know that your work is done with care, quality, and love. You've always been something special. Visit somethingspecialfromwisconsin.com to make it official.
And our Wisconsin entries did very well in the 2025 World Dairy Expo Championship Dairy Product Contest. 97 product classes they could enter. Congratulations to Lake Country Dairy Schumann Cheese as the grand champion winner in the cheese and butter category with their vanilla mascarpone cheese. Also, congratulations to the grand champion winner of ice cream, sherbet, frozen yogurt, and gelato. That's peanut butter chocolate ice cream from Kirschner's Super Premium Ice Cream in Chautauqua. You can see all the winners at MidwestFarmReport.com. I'm PM Yankee.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX, Madison's home for the Maggie Dawn Show, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m.
It is going to be mostly sunny today. We'll get to around 87 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy. We're going to drop it down to the low 60s for an overnight low. Tomorrow, another sunny, warm day with a high right around 85. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Current temp 62.
Shop Furlough Mattress during our Labor Day sale. It's our biggest sale of the season. Get a free box spring with a mattress purchase or upgrade to an adjustable base and save even more. At Furlough, every mattress we make is factory direct and custom made locally for you. And it's backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee. Don't fall for the other guy's mattress gimmicks. Furlough has no middleman, so you'll get the comfort you want and save a whole lot of money. American made, locally crafted. Furlough.
Where working people come to talk. It's the Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network. Join me for an honest approach to the issues American working families care about. No talking points, no focus groups. Get ready for a heavy dose of democracy.
Back in 30 seconds.
Boy, there's a lot going on today. 7:35. Welcome back. It's a Wednesday morning, September 17th. We just heard from Corrine Hendrickson announcing her candidacy for state senate. 1 hour from now, we will be talking to State Representative Francesca Hong all about her run for Wisconsin governor, joining a growing field there. Tomorrow, we'll be talking to Trevor Young, who is a former Racine alder who has just announced he's running for state senate in the 21st district over in the Racine area. And if you can't catch all this live on the radio from 6 until 9, or social media, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, then you really ought to get this show by podcast so you can dip in and hear some of the highlights. So head over to Spotify, sign up to follow the show, or Apple, wherever you get your podcast, and never miss a moment of what we do. You can also get connected to all this through the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us. All right, welcome to our homeroom segment that we do every week at this time. Talk a bit about public education in Wisconsin and the things that impact it. A lot of those things come from the state capitol, and not just the state budget, which is all done now, but certainly all the other ways where lawmakers can introduce bills that are helpful or even harmful, as the case may be, depending on what people in the Assembly and Senate think of our public school system and what ought to be done with it. Somebody's got to track all these things, and for the Wisconsin Public Education Network, that would include our friend Bryn Horton, who joins us for a little update. Bryn, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Nice to have you
Good.
along.
Yeah.
There's just always so much beyond the budget that could get done for our schools or to our schools,
Yes.
as the case may be. So right now the fall legislative session is just getting going. We never really know just how busy or not busy they'll be at any given point. So there are bills that are introduced. Some may get a committee hearing. Some may go to the floor of the Assembly or Senate. Some may just be introduced and not come up at all. But you have to note that they've been introduced because, these are things that conceivably could happen. So as you're looking beyond the state budget at what the legislature could be considering this fall, what kinds of things are you keeping your eye on?
Yeah, so I think the main thing that we're keeping an eye on, which I feel like the fall is always a time of hurried introduction of bills because they haven't really done much since the budget passed. But both sides of the Assembly introduced, well, they haven't been formally introduced yet, but gave press conferences on packages of education bills that they're planning to introduce to the legislature soon. I would imagine they're getting co-sponsored. And so it's interesting to see the play between both of those sets of packages.
Do you want to run through like the highlights of each package, the Republican package and the Democratic package?
Yeah, and this is fully going off of the press conference,
Sure. Yep.
press conferences that I've listened to because I haven't seen the bill texts of them yet. But the Democratic side is introducing bills for healthy school meals for all, which has long been a topic that the Democratic Assembly members have tried to get through in the last couple of sessions. There is a bill about voucher transparency and having the impact of those dollars on tax bills. And then also there is a bill around budget and financing and the things that they're trying to do to balance out the lack of funding that came in the budget. And then the Republican side, my understanding is there's a bill around math curriculum and changes to math curriculum. I'm sensing that might have some of the same type of connotations that Act 20 did for reading. That's the guess that I'm going from that one. And then a parents' rights bill, which is also a bill that they've tried to get through a couple times in the past. And then also some bill around school discipline and teachers being able to do what they need to do to help with student behavior. Since that seems to be a talking point across the nation of teachers not feeling like they have the ability to do what they need to do to control student behavior.
So those are just some of the things that you might see in the Democratic package of bills, in the Republican package of bills. Looking at some of the things that are on the Wisconsin Education Association Council website and things that they're following, you also see kind of the same, shall we say, division between the two parties, where one is looking to maybe enhance prep time for teachers, while another may be seeking to micromanage prep time for teachers. And as we mentioned with Peggy Wirtz Olson from WEAC a couple of weeks back, I mean, some of these bills, again, they may not go anywhere, but just the introduction of them is noteworthy. For example, restricting the kinds of flags that can be displayed in public buildings like schools and in classrooms. There's always something about, cursive handwriting as well. And certainly, and then on a slightly broader level, state testing standards. And so I really kind of feel like there's this tug of war, if you will, between micromanaging, our educators and giving them the resources and flexibility to teach our kids.
Yeah, it's, I think, interesting in the cross specs of local control and the way that Wisconsin school districts have been created to give school districts and local school boards local control. And yet they're constantly being given ways that they need to do things, even though that might not be something that works well in their local school district. And so I think that's a constant look, at least, is how are we making sure that school boards are being able to have their local control rights that they were given by the state statutes.
We also have, we talked about this recently. It was kind of news to an old guy like me that cell phone bans, are, I guess I just thought they were there, and they're not. And it's become a hot discussion topic again. And I'm sure that I think there's at least one bill dealing with cell phone bans, and there will probably be others that you'll have to track in the Capitol as well.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I believe that the cell phone bills tend to have bipartisan support. And what I've heard from that is that because there are a lot of school districts that have their own policies, and what I've heard is that their hope is to, in order to pass a bill like that, that school districts then have the ability to be able to say, oh, see, it's not us. It's the state telling us that we have to do this. So when there's pushback, that they have something to fall back on, which I guess is a nice way of them thinking that that's good that the state, that we can fall back on the state. But I do think there's still a need of there's a reason why that school districts have local control, because school districts are so very different from each other across the state.
Yeah. We're talking to Bryn Horton, and she follows for the Wisconsin Public Education Network the various bills that get introduced at the state capitol that could have an impact on our schools and on your kids' education. And again, from the Republican side, we see just such a focus on issues that involve such a small percentage of what goes on in society, much less our education. In this case, I'm referring to various gender restrictions on participation in sports and other activities. That's another bill I'm assuming Republicans will try to bring up and push, even though they know that Governor Evers would likely veto anything resembling that.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And I do believe that there is a lot of talk about the fact that the Senate might not possibly go into any more floor sessions the rest of this year. And so even though, introductions happen, and those bills will definitely get referred to committees and actually have public hearings, which doesn't happen for a lot of bills that could actually fix things or help things in the school districts. It's those dividing bills that get public hearings.
Right. They do. And I'm sure there will be something. There is a bill, of course, to require English only in schools. We talked about the flag display. There's another bill that would require, the national motto, "In God We Trust," to be displayed in all courtrooms. Somebody just asked me yesterday, did that law really pass in Texas that requires the 10 Commandments to be displayed in every classroom? I'm like, yeah, that's a thing. And that which means it's going to encourage, some legislator in Wisconsin to try to do the same thing. So you're right. We're going to hear a lot of what you would call social issues or wedge bills or anything like that. Those seem to ones that get the public hearings and get some attention.
Yes, absolutely. And there's never any funding attached to those. So, we can display the motto in the schools, but it's going to cost the school districts money to have to do all of that stuff. And so that's the other part of it too that comes with, is we can give us all these things to do and then don't give any money to be able to accomplish those effects.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about this with Jimmy Koska a couple weeks back when we talked about scoreboards and how I did not know that there still wasn't a shot clock for high school basketball, but that's because every school would have to, not every school, but many schools would have to replace their scoreboard. They don't have the money to replace a scoreboard. So if they don't have money to replace a scoreboard, they sure don't have money to be putting up, religious symbols and mottos and things like that in our schools as well. And all of this, Bryn, really comes back to, a central theme of this segment, and that is providing our public schools with the resources they need. That includes the voucher transparency that we've talked about here. And by the way, the Wisconsin Public Education Network, just this week kicked off a public campaign to increase the transparency of the voucher program so that taxpayers know how much it really costs. So head over to wisconsonnetwork.org to learn more. But Bryn, again, it really is what you're hearing from the Democratic side is let's give schools the resources and the tools they need rather than more restrictions.
Yeah, definitely. Ways to be able to find more funding to be able to help close that funding gap that's going to be left with the budget. And the main one that I think that I'm really watching on the Republican side is that there is a bill to get rid of the $325 automatic revenue limit increase that the governor got passed into law through his partial line veto and then was upheld. But there is a bill out there to get rid of that now. And so that's the kind of thing that, the punishment that comes along with being able to get that. Now we need to take that away, even though that's not actually more funding from the state.
Yeah, that's just it. Because of the creative use of the line item veto, you now have this per pupil adjustment locked in for, 300 years or whatever it is. But again, if you're not giving an increase in overall general state aid, it really doesn't mean much. But of course, that's what Republicans are going after. They're going after the line item veto rather than putting a focus on what can we do for our schools? What can we do for our kids? And I guess I'm not confident that a bill that would get rid of the 300-year extension will be accompanied by, okay, we'll do an extension for a couple of years. No, they'll just get rid of it entirely.
Yeah.
We have seen how that goes. There's also bills out there for everything from requiring civics education to tuition and fee remission for veterans and dependents, technical colleges leasing their facilities. There's just so many things that have to be followed in the Capitol, and Bryn Horton does that for the Wisconsin Public Education Network. Bryn, thank you so much for doing all of that and for taking some time to give us a little update this morning.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
All right. Thank you, Bryn. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too.
As we mentioned, it is a day of campaign announcements. Corrine Hendrickson announcing her run for state senate earlier this hour. And then less than an hour from now at 8:35, State Representative Francesca Hong, newly announced candidate for Wisconsin governor, will join us to talk about why she has chosen to run for that office in 2026. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
The Civic Media Radio Network.
When you're having computer problems, you need a company you trust to get things working again, quickly and affordably. Madison Computer Works has been doing that for business and residential customers for decades. Our computer care plans take away the hassle of being without your computer or needing to bring it in for repair. Starting at only $10 a month, our local and friendly techs provide remote help and can fix most problems in just minutes. Call 608-231-8000 and sign up today. Madison Computer Works, computers that work for you.
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done well with love.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
Let's go Brewers! You can go to the Brewers.
Wait, Todd, what?
It's Free Ticket Friday, Terry. A chance to win a 4-pack of Brewers tickets several times every Friday. Great seats, by the way.
Okay, so download the...
Oh, Pat, we should tease that it's the last Free Ticket Friday, by the way.
Then text it through the app for your chance to win in this...
We can do that.
Before something bigger and better starts right after.
That's right.
Can't say what it is? No, I don't think I can.
No, you cannot.
Visit volunteerwisconsin.org to find volunteer opportunities near you. Join us in celebrating United Way.
30 seconds.
There he is. How you doing, Jimmy?
Doing all right.
All right. There you go. 15 seconds. Coming up across the Civic Media Radio Network today, Matt Nair on Air follows this program. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach from 9 to 11. Bennett Goldstein, a reporter with Wisconsin Watch, will be joining them at 9:35 this morning. The Todd Alba Show, you can catch that from 2 to 4 today, and then the Maggie Dawn Show from 4 to 6. At 5:06 this evening, in the 5 o'clock hour, General Russell Honore will join Maggie to discuss putting the military into the streets of American cities. Also on Maggie's show at 5:30, we'll hear from State Senator Kristen Dassler-Alfheim about increases in health insurance premiums. And then you can hear Nightlight with Pete Schwaba from 6 until 8 this evening. Actor Mike McGill from Shameless will be joining Pete at 6:30 this evening, and comedian Greg Schworm will join him at 7:20. All that ahead on the Civic Media Radio Network. Head over to civicmedia.us to learn more. There's also a podcast with Earl Ingram, and we'll talk to him about that in less than 15 minutes to see what's going on with the What's Going On podcast. But first, let's check in with Jimmy Koska from Civic Media, who's the sports director, follows some of the news stories around Southwest Wisconsin as well. Jimmy, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. You know, it's funny because we're sitting here mid-September, and I know it's the heart of football season and everything like that, but, you know, all anybody can talk to me about is the Milwaukee Brewers and what they've been able to do right now. And I got to tell you, it's quite the ride right now.
It's a very nice ride, and plenty of people have been able to enjoy that ride for free because, Parker, why? What are we doing one last time on Friday?
We're giving away free tickets.
Free Ticket Friday. That's exactly it. Yes. So again, if you don't have that Civic Media app, get that puppy downloaded, and you'll be texting us keywords throughout the day this coming Friday, the final Free Ticket Friday of the Brewer season. After that, Jimmy, I'm thinking tickets get a lot more expensive as we move on.
Yeah, they get a little more expensive. That's when they start adding the auxiliary press box to AmFam Field, and you know, it's a little harder to get into games. You can't just get in standing room only and sit there for $5 above the visiting bullpen and let them know how exactly you feel about them.
Yeah, nope, it doesn't work like that. But there will be October baseball, which is a nice thing, and I really am counting on the Brewers not just to get this bye and not be in the wild card round, but to advance beyond the division series. And look again, these are not household names for the Brewers. There's names I scarcely remember sometimes when they take the field. But I don't feel like we should also sell them short and say, well, if they lose in the first round, that's how it goes. I think we can hold higher expectations of these guys from what I've seen.
Yeah, and the fact that if they can stay ahead of the Cubs, which they're up by 5 games, I think this morning as we enter the day, 5.5 games with just a handful of games remaining, they can get that bye out of the wild card round. They don't have to worry about playing in that best of 3. Then they go right into the NLDS and have home field advantage there. And they could have home field advantage too throughout the postseason, just given the fact that their record is so great. They are a few wins shy of the best record in franchise history. I mean, there's a lot of good vibes happening right now with the Brewers. And like I said, I know we're in the heart of football season, and everybody here in the companies, and I talked to Mike Clemens about what the Packers are doing. We're going to see the Badgers, coming up again against Maryland this weekend. But it is all about the Brewers at the moment in terms of what people are talking about sports-wise, which is really, really fun to see.
It really is. And by the way, when you say a handful of games, let me run through that for folks when they say, well, is it really the last Free Ticket Friday? Yeah, because there's only one more homestand after this one. You've got the Angels here tonight and again tomorrow night, but then the Brewers head off to St. Louis for 3 against the Cardinals, and then to San Diego next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for 3 against the Padres. And then they come home a week from this Friday for the final homestand of the season, 3 games against the Cincinnati Reds. And that's it. There's just these 11 games left in the regular season.
Yeah, and those 3 games against the Reds, what is fun about that is that they typically have a lot of fan-centered giveaways, fan appreciation night, things like that. So those last few games are actually pretty fun, even if at that point the Brewers have wrapped everything up. It's a lower stress atmosphere. There are still a lot of cool things they do at the end of the regular season to make sure fans stay engaged.
Well, let me tell you, this works out well for some folks that plan ahead, even if it's accidentally. And what I'm saying is I got a college buddy who we try to get to one Brewer game every year, and we just couldn't pull it off. We just couldn't get the dates to match up as we were going through. And finally he's like, we got to the last weekend of the regular season, and we said, okay, that's the one that's going to work. So we got tickets for that last homestand against Cincinnati. This was before the Brewers got real good. So we managed to get some discounted tickets for the last regular homestand, and we're going to have ourselves a grand old time because we planned ahead, or because we were accidentally lucky. We'll take either one.
You know what? You just better be lucky than good sometimes. So I'm with you. It's so cool though, because there's you hope that the series is low stress for the Brewers going into the postseason, and that you can just enjoy the baseball atmosphere. But that last homestand, usually what you get is you get a handful of goodies to take home and put in your collection, as I've done, as you could tell here many times over the years.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Look at that. That's a museum back there on your shelf of swag. And of course you also root for the non-injury. It's like, no, you don't need to make that diving catch. It's okay. Don't jam your thumb, no compound fractures, please. We're heading into the playoffs. So every play like that is going to be a little nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the other part too is I think the thing that you really watch is pitching and just seeing who lines up for the postseason and trying to figure out who's going to be the guys in the bullpen, be the guys in the rotation. Typically in those first couple of rounds, you're talking about a pitching staff carrying just 12 guys. They do allow you to carry up to 13, but usually that's not until the later rounds, the best of 7s, where that becomes an issue. So if you're looking ahead to the Brewers and their postseason roster, they'll be looking for the 26 guys. It'll probably be a 14-12 split in hitters to pitchers. But then as the playoffs go further, if the Brewers are fortunate enough to get to those points, that's where you would see them add the extra pitcher. So watching how the pitching staff and the rotation sets up for the playoffs is one of the more fascinating parts of MLB baseball.
Civic Media Sports Director Jimmy Koska, great to talk to you. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jimmy. All right, coming up in our next hour, we will talk to Earl Ingram from the What's Going On podcast through Civic Media and new candidate for governor, State Representative Francesca Hong. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, there we go. Thank you.
Sorry, I
very
was
much.
a bit late. I had to take my kids to school, so
No,
sorry.
that's all right. We understand. We tap dance with the best of them here. So
I'm good for everything next week. So I didn't have anything really for lacrosse to share other than Evers was here yesterday. And I'm sure that we'll see these all these governor candidates that are declaring this week. They're all going to make their way through lacrosse at some point. So
without a doubt. So okay, we're covered. All right, thank you so much.
All right, take care, guys.
See you later.
See ya.
Hey, good morning, Earl. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Pat?
I'm doing.
How do I sound?
You sound a little muffled. You're clear but muffled. I'm not sure what that might be.
Right. Let me check that out. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll check your mic as you tell us what you want to cover today.
Well, I'm checking. Up. I know there should be several new podcasts.
Yes, there are. We've got we've got another one with Dr. Fuller. We've got Dr. Baker's insight on DEI. We've got
Dr. Baker's input on DEI and the impact of what it's having in our community, and Dr. Fuller's another great one, really kind of focusing on where we go from here with education. And school year started, and people seem to think that the problem with reading is a problem solely in the city of Milwaukee, but as it turns out, it's all over this nation. And so, what are people going to do? He's created a plan and an idea on how to address that. So,
okay.
And we had another horrific police chase and crash this morning where 3 innocent people were killed. I don't know where this ends. Some point in time, we've got to address it.
Yeah. I could not agree more. So, all right, we got plenty to get us started here. So I'll go get some coffee and I'll check in with you in 4 minutes or so.
All right, I'll work on the microphone.
Okay.
You sound fine, Earl. Just make sure that you keep it close to your mouth, I think. So I had you turn down a little bit in StreamYard. I think that was part of the problem.
Okay. All right.
All right. Sounds good. See you in a bit.
Thank you.
They're already searching for her successor, and they'll announce her replacement in the coming weeks. And National Voter Registration Day was yesterday, but the Madison City Clerk's Office is celebrating all week with registration drives. Every day through Saturday, there are at least 3 locations across the city where you can register to vote. Many of them are at libraries, but those 3 locations change every day. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
Baseball tonight in Milwaukee. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers and the Angels scoring off again tonight at American Family Field with Brandon Woodruff against LA's right-hander Jose Soriano. The Brewers with a great performance last night. Freddie Peralta cruised to a 9-2 victory. The magic number now 7 to clinch the Central Division. NFL, the Packers getting ready to play the 0-2 Browns in Cleveland Sunday. Game time at noon. Concern for Zach Tom and Aaron Banks getting back on the offensive line. Wide receiver Jaden Reed had his surgery yesterday to repair his broken collarbone and fractured foot. Former Packers quarterback Sean Clifford signs with the Bengals after Joe Burrow had surgery for his toe injury. Vikings running back Aaron Jones now on IR with a hamstring. College football, the Wisconsin Badgers back home Saturday against Maryland. Kickoff 11 a.m. at Camp Randall. And women's college volleyball, Mimi Collier named the National Player of the Week after Wisconsin swept both Milwaukee and the Georgia Bulldogs. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Farm news that impacts you and your community from the Midwest Farm Report throughout your day on 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be mostly sunny today. We'll get to around 87 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy. We're going to drop it down to the low 60s for an overnight low. Tomorrow, another sunny, warm day with a high right around 85. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 61.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Because when you talk, they hear you.
Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This is Robert Pilot, host of Native Roots Radio.
And if you get a chance, give a look at the network liners for today. We've got a new one about the new Civic Media Today newsletter.
Like Arvina Martin, State Representative Heather Keeler, Ruth Anna Buffalo, Dr. Anthony Staley, State Senator Mary Kunish, Robert Williger, and
back
Bob Blake.
in
Native
30
issues are human
seconds.
issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back. 8:06 now on a Wednesday morning, September 17th. Nice to have you here up north from Lake Wissota across the Civic Media Radio Network. Earl Ingram is standing by to talk about what he's had on the What's Going On podcast that you can get through Civic Media. You can also get a new daily newsletter through Civic Media. We will be telling you more about that this hour, even as I work in shameless promotions for our own newsletters over at Up North News. And then we will have State Representative Francesca Hong joining us. That will be part of a very busy day for the representative from Madison, who this morning announced she is running for governor and joining a now crowded field of Democratic candidates. So all that and more still ahead. But first, let's bring in meteorologist Brittany Merlot to talk more about one more summer-like day before we, it's not fall-like, it's just less summer-like. How's that?
Yeah, a little
less summer-like. It just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? You know?
Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry, summer lovers, but fall does have to take over eventually.
It does. It does.
Yep, we've got a lot going on this morning. Dense fog up north, especially by Lake Superior into Haywards, Superior itself, Ashland, even Eau Claire still seeing that, and some scattered showers across the state, moving in towards La Crosse, even in towards Marinette, Green Bay, you could see a few, and up north mainly. As we go through the afternoon, though, those will dissipate. The sun will dominate. We will get warm again, low to mid 80s statewide. Some of us will reach the upper 80s, nearing 90 again. And then later this afternoon, we'll see clouds increasing, maybe some light drizzle southwest in the state midday. And then some small storms could spark again northeast earlier this evening. Tomorrow, it's not too much cooler, but it does drop up north to the mid 60s. Down south, you're still going to be hanging on to the low 80s. Now, we do have scattered showers chances throughout the day, especially into the evening. But Madison, Milwaukee, still staying sunny tomorrow. Your rain holds off until Friday. That's when this big low pressure system makes its way through. Winds start to get a little bit breezier this weekend, and we do have wet weather ahead. It will pull our temperatures down Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to the mid 60s up north to the mid 70s down south. So not terrible, but just a little cooler.
Did I hear you say something that it will precipitate, but then the sun will dominate?
Yeah, I probably did.
How are you so good at this vocabulary thing?
I just rhyme and I don't even
honestly,
know it.
I'm glad there's a new daily newsletter. We've got to give you a vehicle for writing this stuff out.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
It's like a poem, a weather poem.
Exactly. Now it's time for a Pat's dumb question for Brittany. See how observant I am. You're wearing a lovely purple top, but I'm noticing the headphones are purple. That's not. Am I missing like different colored headphones for different things, or is that just a nice coincidence today?
It's a nice coincidence, but that would be
Okay.
awesome. I would
That
do
would be.
that kind
Well,
of thing to match
you
the
know,
headphones with outfits. But
my wife and others have those the glasses where you can like snap on different fronts of the eyeglass frames, you know, to match your whatever. So
that.
I wouldn't put it past you to have, you know,
No.
you open up one drawer and you know, there's tops and there's another drawer and there's jewelry. Here's a drawer with all the different headphones that Brittany's going to wear.
Click.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Click.
Great idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you get to work on that and we'll talk again tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
All right. Again, more about newsletters coming up in just a bit, but here's my daily reminder. Sign up for our newsletters at upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe in the banner up on top of the homepage. And again, Civic Media now in the Substack business. We'll talk about that in just a little while. But first, let's bring in our friend Earl Ingram from the What's Going On podcast. Again, you can find that at civicmedia.us. Earl, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing all right, thanks. It's always nice to connect with you and see the topics and the insight that you're bringing to things. Today, excuse me, today is Constitution Day, and one particular group also made this National DEI Day. And to celebrate that, you know, the signing of the Constitution and the ways we're always trying to be a more perfect union and celebrate, you know, diversity and bring true equality to people. And so we are living in a time where certain people, and I will go ahead and say it, certain racists have truly declared war on DEI, and they've completely turned upside down the significance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. You have that subject on your show, one of your episodes of your podcast, with Dr. Rob Baker from Milwaukee, and talking all about the state of race relations in our nation. Tell us more about what we hear on that episode.
So that's Dr. Professor Rob Baker, and he is a professor at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And so we had a conversation long overdue about the impact of the removal of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the long-term impact of not my generation, but the generations after me that are going to be impacted in horrific ways. We don't live in a colorblind society, and no matter how people want to say it, it's not true. It doesn't exist. It never existed. And so when you opportunities for people who don't look the same, live in a society that's made up of people from different views and all of those things, it is mind-boggling to me that people don't want to face. I know what brings that about. Certainly, you know, is getting worse.
It is, and our apologies for the listeners. We had a little bit of an internet blip in there, but we've got you back and sounding nice and clear. You know, the insights that Dr. Baker shares include whether America is indeed advancing. Are we reversing the progress that generations have struggled to achieve? I think that answer is self-evident, that we are moving backward, Earl, but I'm sure you get into, you know, how do you stop that reversal? How do you again help people appreciate the need to provide more opportunities for diversity and inclusion?
Well, I would say you follow the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution. Mm-hmm. They should be more than just documents. They should be living realities. And you know, for a period of time in my life, that was starting to take place. But for heaven's sakes, to look at this for what it really is and the impact that it's going to have on my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, you know, I don't know. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't say I don't know. I do know the impact that that's going to have. And I don't know how a nation such as this one, the greatest nation on earth, can look itself in the mirror and think that this is all right. It is absolutely untenable. The fact, and I still don't believe that it's taking place after the struggles of the 60s and the 70s and the 50s and all of that, that we've turned back the clock. And I just wonder, where there's going to be a movement to bring it back. I do also believe that each generation must fight for its own freedom. And so what happened in my generation, the fights that we waged were not permanent. And we see that. And now the generations after us are going to have to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Eli puts on Facebook, are we reversing, or has it simply been re-accepted that you can show these hateful thoughts? And I've said many a time, the times we live in now have emboldened people to crawl out from whatever rocks they've been under, where they harbor, some of the viewpoints that you never thought you would hear publicly expressed again. And now, of course, they feel emboldened because of the people who are in power right now. I think both things can be true. We can, in fact, be, reversing, and in part because it has been accepted. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Earl. It's every generation. You can't take anything for granted. We've learned we can't take democracy for granted either. And that unplugging is not the way to go. You have to have some level of civic engagement and awareness, and stop assuming that everybody else is going to fight a battle for you.
Well, it's absolutely 100% correct. Democracy is the exact same thing. And if people don't organize and get out on the street, the only way this is going to be, eradicated is for people, the American people, to organize and say, we're not going to take it. But if we sit back waiting on politicians or others to do this for us, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're talking with Earl Ingram from the What's Going On podcast. You can get that at civicmedia.us. And I got time to hit on one more episode, and that is a conversation with Dr. Howard Fuller, again, about reading in our schools and literacy. Again, something we cannot take for granted. We must always be looking at the ways we're teaching reading and literacy skills. So tell us more about that conversation.
I was reading something the other day, Pat, and the reading abilities of the American children, I mean, they're abysmal when you compare them to children of other nations. And so that has a lot to do with the fact that, we don't value education enough as a society. I don't care what anybody says. You hear people saying, well, we're putting too much money into education. You look at places like China and India, and 60 years ago, those nations basically were not very literate, but they realized the importance of education, and they put priority on education. And now look, when we look at global, realities that are happening, America is not where she once was. She's lagging behind those two nations, and she's going to continue to lag until the American people realize that money spent on education is the best investment you can ever make.
It's so true. And what we've seen in just say the past generation or so are people saying, oh my gosh, Wisconsin's in the top 10 for spending on schools, and we can't be one of the top 10 spenders. Well, after years and years of austerity, we're now down to number 29. And we're now to people saying, this is unacceptable. We can't be in the middle of the pack. We've got to value education more. But unfortunately, that mindset really hasn't taken hold yet, and it's certainly not reflected in election results, Earl. Although from the candidates I'm hearing, I think we are going to hear more of what you have said about we got to value education once more in this country.
Well, you can't look at your own, family and say, well, my family is doing fine. My children are being educated. They're literate. And not look at all those around you, because the nation is made up of more than you're in a circle. And the nation is up against global technological education. And so we no longer fighting state against state. It's a global reality. And so we can't go back. And so with that in mind, people need to focus on, hey, is my tax dollar better spent on making sure that there's a future, a bright future for this nation. And you can't have a bright future for the nation if the future of the young people who are going to be adults and running the nation in the future aren't as educated as they can be.
Exactly. So hear more about that in that episode and more on the What's Going On with Earl Ingram podcast. Head to civicmedia.us, click on shows to learn more. Earl, thank you again very much. Hope you have a great day.
You as well.
All right. Appreciate you very much. Francesca Hong, state representative and candidate for governor, is coming up in 15 minutes. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Okay, so no Melissa. She's traveling. So I've just got some news stories that I'm going to go through, and then we'll have Fran in.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Up North News is part of Courier Newsroom, a nationwide pro-democracy news network at couriernewsroom.com. Plenty of state outlets and newsletters and podcasts. One of the newsletters is called American Freak Show by Nina Burley. It's a weekly newsletter keeping an eye on MAGA extremism and its absurdity. This week's edition, The Big Chill, Using a Murder to Silence America. And Nina writes in part, I disagreed with most of what the martyred right-wing thought warrior said, referring to Charlie Kirk, but it would have been far better to have him alive today to argue with. In a famous tract arguing against censorship, the English poet John Milton laid down the foundation of our concept of freedom of speech. Milton's argument was that truth and falsehood should grapple in the public square because in the end, he writes, whoever knew truth put to the worse in a free and open encounter. Nina goes on to say, what is an America where dissent is criminal, where every person must first test a thought or an idea against how the religious right or the government regime might respond? We already live in an America, she writes, where it's legal to spread lies about public health and vaccines, where American history is being erased by executive order at the Smithsonian and the National Park Service, We might not all like each other in this great American experiment of blended people and ideas, but to survive as a democracy, we agree to tolerate one another. That's Nina Burley. You can find her American Freak Show newsletter at couriernewsroom.com. And that, of course, takes us to Derek Van Orden, who is no longer working to be a congressman for all of the people in the 3rd Congressional District. He is, in fact, running for chief of police, chief of the thought police for the 3rd Congressional District. He is continuing his online tirade now into its 8th day of highlighting people and organizations who have been using their freedom of expression to target them for firing or for cutting their funding. And he hasn't let up. He hasn't let up with the insults. He hasn't let up with the obscenities. He referenced a fellow member of Congress, Adam Schiff, saying that he needs to go to jail. That's a member of Congress telling a member of the Senate he should go to jail. He called Minnesota Governor Tim Walz the S word, a piece of S word in a tweet either last night or early today. He reposted Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who again is threatening employees who, in his view, celebrate Charlie Kirk's murder. Van Orden reposted that with a one-word response: leadership. That's not leadership. That's Big Brother. That's big government. That's big hypocrite. Derek Van Orden and Charlie Kirk and others would be the first to talk about how every idea should be welcome to be debated, because otherwise they were getting short shrift and they were being subject to cancel culture. And now they are reveling in it. They're reveling in the hypocrisy of getting people fired or targeted or threatening funding because they don't like how other people have used their freedom of expression. And of course, nobody is immune to that. That, of course, starts at the very top, and that would include President Donald Trump, who said Monday he would have ordered flags lowered to half staff after the assassination of a Minnesota legislator had he been asked by Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. But again, the internet's forever, and our memories aren't that shallow to remind the president that he refused to even call Governor Walz to express his condolences. In fact, Trump went on to say it would only waste time. Trump made those remarks at an Oval Office event defending his decision to lower U.S. flags this week in honor of Charlie Kirk, something he did not do for Melissa Hortman, who is the former Minnesota Speaker of the House, who was assassinated over the summer. Trump said, the governor didn't ask me. He said, I wouldn't have thought of that, meaning lowering the flags for Melissa Hortman, but I would have if somebody had asked me. Had the governor asked me, I would have done that gladly. That's not really how it worked. At the time, the president said, I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out, I'm not calling him. Why would I call him? Trump told reporters in June aboard Air Force One. He then said, this guy, Walz, doesn't have a clue. He's a mess. So, I could be nice and call him, but why waste time? President Trump could not be bothered to show up for the funeral of Melissa Hortman and her husband. He is planning to attend Charlie Kirk's funeral this weekend in Arizona, and that he will likely have a speaking role. Maybe. His exact words were, I guess I'll say a few words. I don't know, but I guess I will. So it says a lot about a president's priorities when they decide for whom will they have the American flag lowered and for whose funeral will they grace with their attendance. We already know how he treated one political assassination in this country, and we are now going to see the real divide. We see it in his continued calls for vengeance, which were echoed yesterday by his vice president and continue to be echoed in an ongoing stream from Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden. Now, as we talk about matters like that on this show and others across the Civic Media Radio Network, it's worth reminding you that Civic Media now has a new daily email newsletter. It's called Civic Media Today. It will have all kinds of civic media content delivered right to your inbox every weekday so that you can get links to news stories or to podcast feeds or to YouTube live streams of some of your favorite shows and more. So head over to civicmediatoday.substack.com to sign up for a free subscription. Again, that Substack address is civicmediatoday.substack.com. And while you're over there, there's some Courier Newsroom newsletters and others that you could be subscribing to and learn more about your favorite shows and hosts and the stories that we are all following. Gubernatorial candidate Francesca Hong is coming up next. You're up north. All right. Hey, Fran, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am doing okay. How are you, Pat?
You better be better than okay. This is huge. This is fun.
It is going to be fun. What I mean by okay is that in these times, okay is pretty great.
Oh, yes, I totally agree with. We still don't have a perfect 2025 answer for how are you doing, because okay is really the best we can hope for at times. So all right, so we're good. We played the intro video to start off the show, and I've just got all the huge here for you about the race. Are you going anywhere, doing anything? You want to point people to either an event or a website or something when we wrap this up?
Absolutely. I'm hitting the road actually right after this, Pat. We're going to Blanchardville.
Okay, sounds good. And francescahong.com is where we're going on the website.
Yes.
All right, let me get that graphic in there as well. We got just about 2 minutes left in the break here. Hong.com. Okay, get that in there. There we go. And I'm just going to go check out all the socials here real quick. Francesca Hong WI on that one. There we go. Francesca Hong WI on that one. Let's go to TikTok.
Oh yeah, I forgot I have a TikTok channel now.
See all this stuff. So many platforms. All right, I think we're good to go here. So we will be up in 90 seconds. See you in a bit.
That was a perfect reaction to finding out that you have a TikTok, because that's how I feel about TikTok. Back in 30 seconds.
Eight 8:35, the time now. Welcome back, live from Lake Wissota on the Civic Media Radio Network, as we continue talking about the change in seasons, not fall, not back to school, not football, but campaigns. You heard in the last hour, Corrine Hendrickson announced her candidacy for state senate in Southwest Wisconsin. Tomorrow, we will be talking with a candidate running in Southeast Wisconsin for state senate in the Racine area. We had a new gubernatorial candidate on Monday. We have a new gubernatorial candidate today. Democratic State Representative Francesca Hong from Madison announced her candidacy this morning, and she joins us now to talk all about it. Fran, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. I am doing better than okay. I know I told you okay earlier. I'm better than okay now, and really happy to be here.
Well, we've talked about how in 2025 there just is no yet a perfect answer for how you doing, but we're all looking for those little signs of hope. We're all looking for those positive points wherever we can get them. And I know a lot of people have been hoping that you would get into the race. You're joining a now crowded field of candidates for governor in the state of Wisconsin. And you know where I want to lead into this, not just the usual why you're running. I want to lead into this with, if you go and find Francesca Hong's introductory video that she released this morning in running for governor, and we have to be very careful here on the radio, but Fran used a swear, as we like to say. And there's a perfectly good reason, as she explains in the video. So, Fran, I want you to start from there. In the video, you set something up about expectations, and then you say, you know what, that's baloney. Let's use that word. What is it that people should see as baloney, and what is it that we can do about it?
I always appreciate a good reference to sandwich meats, so thank you for that, Pat. In times of authoritarianism and fascism, one of the strategies that those in power try to deploy is to make it seem like we can't have a vision, we can't imagine better, we are living in fear. And I think that we actually have an opportunity to meet this moment with a movement, but people have to be able to imagine better. And I think when we've got bold policies and people who are not only willing to fight for, but fight alongside folks, we recognize that what we're being told is baloney.
We're talking to Fran Hong, candidate for governor, and about those expectations to say, well, you know, the system is too big, and so you have to play it safe. And you used the word bold, which I know we've heard about other races as well, for president, for mayor of New York City, and for so many others, that progressives need to be bold and not play it safe. Can you talk more about that internal debate among progressives and why you're coming out on the side of bold rather than, get along and going along?
We have to think about the why we need bold. And in this moment, incrementalism is irresponsible. The need and urgency to meet the needs of working class people has to prioritize urgency. And you achieve that, you ensure people have basic needs met and that they can have access to universal childcare and fully funded public schools, guaranteed paid leave, and cheaper healthcare. These are transformative policies that I think are the responsible and practical ones, where people will feel and they will know that this is what can improve their lives. But it's also about freedoms, and having the freedom to be able to care for yourself, the people you love, your neighbors, and maybe even someone you don't know. That comes not only with bold, but transformative policies.
I feel like what I'm hearing here is stop selling yourself short. Stop selling ourselves short. We have been, again, conditioned to hear we can't afford this. We can't afford healthy meals for every school kid. We can't afford affordable daycare. We can't afford health care. And you're calling bull on it, and rightly so. But that's where I get into the go along, the moderation, is to say, well, we'll take a little bit of this. And I'm hearing a lot more voices saying, no. We want the whole schmear. We actually do want, for example, every kid should be able to have a healthy meal without having to pay for it, because we're already paying our taxes to educate our kids. That and many other examples. Am I kind of hitting that right?
Yes, but who's not paying their fair share of taxes? There's a danger to flat taxes. I think people in Wisconsin, they work hard, they hustle. They deserve a government that works hard and hustles. And that requires establishing fairness. And when you have fair taxation, and when folks who are the wealthiest at the top tax bracket in this state pay their fair share, turns out that means more revenue for the state. And so when we prioritize working class people and try to build working class power, it's going to need to come with resources that are fully available out there. And so why wouldn't somebody want every kid at every school here in our state to have a healthy breakfast and lunch at school? I think this is going to come when we recognize that the system is rigged and it's unfair, and it's time that we unrig it and ensure fairness for all working class people.
We're talking to State Representative Francesca Hong, newly announced candidate for governor. And as we look at these various issues that you're running on, we're hearing a lot of it coming from, the standpoint of families. You're a mom, you're a working mom, but you're also an entrepreneur. You have been part of running a business. And so for people who hear this and think, well, she just has no sympathy, no empathy for what it's like to run a business and have to employ people and all of that, you actually have life experience that says otherwise. So talk about your own entrepreneurial business viewpoint, and how does that match up with being somebody running on the issues that you're running on?
We have a policy that would actually help small businesses, especially those who have fewer than 50 employees, use Affordable Care Act tax credits to be able to make it so that their employees have access to cheaper health care. It was so difficult as a small business owner to guarantee health care and benefits for all of our staff, and we did everything we can to ensure that. Small businesses are also having to compete against larger corporations, chains, who are not on the same playing field, have access to resources, even though they're the ones who may not always be taking care of their employees. And so fair universal policies where we guarantee cheaper healthcare for working class people is ultimately a small business issue as well. And there needs to be better access to capital, especially for our smallest businesses. And that's something we can work towards achieving when we think about what North Dakota has with a public bank. And so my experience of being a restaurant owner, and I will always be a service industry owner, makes me acutely aware that what is driving a lot of the hardships for small businesses are these corporate profits and corporate greeds, where larger businesses make it harder for us to gain access to the resources we need to grow, expand our business, and take care of our workers.
We were talking to State Representative Francesca Hong about her candidacy for governor announced this morning. Let's go ahead and talk about the other S word. This S word we can say, socialists, because as noted in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel article, opponents may seize on the fact that Hong is a member of the Democratic Socialists of America and of the relatively new Assembly Socialist Caucus. And as I've told people earlier in the show, I recently received an op-ed column from a fellow member of the Socialist Caucus, and that would be State Representative Christian Phelps of Eau Claire, who explains, just beautifully in his words, why he chooses to embrace that label and how it holds him accountable to the positions that he takes. And so now I want to put that to you as well. You did not have to say, I'm going to be part of this socialist caucus. Now you're doing that and running for governor. So let me put it in a hostile way so that you really jump on this. Fran, explain yourself.
As a single mom, community organizer, and a restaurant industry worker, I recognize that for working class people, the system is rigged. And as a democratic socialist who understands the importance and the need to ensure basic needs are met, this means that I'm somebody who cares deeply. And when we have a politics that is rooted in care for ourselves, care for our children, care for our workers, our small businesses, we can build communities that are not only strong, but people have what they need to make sure that not only can they get by, but they can build the lives for themselves that they want. I think democratic socialism is about care. It's about ensuring that you not only care for yourself and your loved ones, but again, I talk about caring for somebody you don't know. And it's the policies that are rooted in care. The way that democratic socialism holds me accountable is to always go back to that care for ourselves, for our neighbors, for somebody you might not know yet.
State Representative Francesca Hong is with us. Learn more about her campaign at francescahong.com. Again, francescahong.com. And if you go there, if you go to the social media sites, and some of them, the handle is Francesca Hong WI, in case you're searching. But set aside the fact that she's got to have this conversation with a boring radio host. You look at the videos and you look at how in demand she is as a speaker, is that you also, on these serious issues, you have a lot of fun. You really get out there and you mix it up with people. You talk about them. You are very direct in your language, as we say, trying to be so safe here on the radio. But can you talk more about that part of it that makes campaigning so fun? I mean, I don't feel like I'm bringing it out, but I feel like there may be nobody who's going to have more fun running for governor than you.
Pat, I absolutely love this state. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's where I'm raising my child. It's where my parents have called home for longer than anywhere else that they've lived in. I am obsessed with cranberries right now and wading into cranberry bogs. But we always talk about meeting people where they are, and where folks are at are a lot of places where they can experience joy, have fun, not think about the state of our world right now. It's important that elected officials and candidates go meet those folks in the dive bars, at the bowling alleys, maybe even a pro wrestling match. Getting to know folks across the state has been an incredible privilege and honor for me as a state rep from Madison. And it just motivates me more. And it's what our campaign, you're absolutely right, it is going to be fun. It's rooted in care. We need to have joy, because all these things is how we have a resistance and build working class power. It's important to be able to relate and have fun with your neighbor, even if you may not always agree on the politics.
And that's just it. And that's what we're looking in this next year is we're going to tackle all the issues, but we are not going to be, all doom and gloom during it. We're going to have some fun. I'm looking forward to talking to all of you as part of the gubernatorial primary that's coming up in August of next year. State Representative Francesca Hong. Fran, it's always such a pleasure. Thank you. Have a great day. Travel safe.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. Appreciate it very much. We'll have some final news and notes from Lake Wissota coming up right after this. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Fran sent a message that I'm not boring. I beg to differ, but we'll take it. Mr. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. You're not boring, Pat.
Aw, thank you.
They wouldn't let you host a 3-hour radio show.
Yeah,
every
they
day
would,
if you
because
were
I'm the only
boring.
guy that stepped up. I was the only one that said, I'll get up and do a 6 a.m. show. And they're like, all right, fine, you'll do.
We actually have a whole promo about that. He's the only
Yes.
one old enough to have to get up and pee already this early in the morning.
Are we running that as a promo, actually? I don't know.
I did make it into one. I don't know if it's in the rotation.
Okay. All right. Well, it's true. I'm guilty. So
Yeah, that'd be awkward if you were just like walking into the gas station. They happen to be playing WCFW. It's just like, oh, that's me.
Yep. Let's see. Just gonna get your list. Did I paste your list in? I did not. Here it is. What else you been up to? What you been doing for fun up there?
Oh, I've been sick for a few days.
Oh no!
Last week, which was unfortunate. I had to miss the big protest on Wednesday outside
the Wizard of Oz one. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. But we're better now. And you know what? Lost a few pounds. Didn't even have to exercise for it.
Yeah, it's not supposed to work that way, but I understand. You take what you can get here.
We'll take the wins where we can find them.
That's right. Let's see. Yeah, those all look good. Let me get to the civic media promos. There's that. Would help if I put this up so people know I'm not just humming and hawing. We're in a commercial break. All right, so we got a little sports. Yeah, I think we're in good shape. All right, just under a minute and a half here. Okay.
Back in 30 seconds.
Remember, you can stay up to date with our unabashedly Wisconsin news at Up North News by signing up for our newsletter, upnorthnewswi.com. Today's edition includes a link to some of the best fall color drives and when you can expect peak colors to hit in autumn around Wisconsin. So again, sign up over for that. The Brewers are playing tonight on stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. They are taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:05. Coming up, Matt and Air on Air in just a bit here, and Jane and Greg will have as their guest Bennett Goldstein, a reporter with Wisconsin Watch, coming up at 9:35. Maggie Dawn will have General Russell Honore discussing military presence in American cities, coming up just after 5 o'clock. And Nightlight with Pete Schwaba has actor Mike McGill from Shameless at 6:35 this evening. Plenty of reasons to stay tuned to your favorite Civic Media station and podcast the shows. This one and the others, just head over to Spotify and follow us, and that way you can always pick up on an episode that you can't catch live. All right, let's see. We just had Francesca Hong running for governor. Kelda Roy's announced Monday she's running for governor. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley is in the race. Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez is running. He puts James Kelly up on the screen for no connective James, you're not running for governor, are you?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, all right. Nowadays I got to go through and check off who's Parker is not happy about this at all.
Thought he was
I'm
gonna
sorry,
run. I
Parker.
thought we were on a streak here. What the heck, Ed?
I know. No, James is here covering news for Civic Media out of our Chippewa Falls newsroom. And so, James, I'm very sorry to hear that you were under the weather recently. You look good. Have you lost a few pounds?
Yes, I did lose a few pounds. Didn't have to exercise for it. Didn't have to eat healthy. Sometimes we just need the silver lining in there.
Yeah. See, we're trying as best we can. So, all right. Glad you are on the mend. Let's look at stories that you're following here. We talk a lot about affordable housing and housing stock. It's one of those issues that kind of creeps up on people, and then they realize, yeah, we do have a problem here. We have, like a lot of McMansions, and we have some high density stuff, but we don't really have much in the way of affordable housing for people that want to own their own or who want to have a job. St. Croix County did a survey on that. What'd they find out?
Yeah, so they found a lot of the same issues that we've seen across Northwest Wisconsin, but kind of with a different twist as far as population trends go. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the Washburn County housing study, where they have an aging population, and the median age is about 12 years higher than the state average, and they're having trouble attracting those younger workers to the area to take all the open jobs. The problem in St. Croix County is that there are too many people coming into the region. Population growth is projected to skyrocket, and they're now saying they need as many as 4,600 new units by 2050 to accommodate that. The vacancy rate for rentals is down to 1.4%, which is well below the healthy range of 5 to 7. And that's another issue in Eau Claire. When we were talking about the unhoused population, we said the vacancy rate was about 4%. Which is why housing prices continue to increase and the unhoused population continues to grow. There's a lot of cost-burdened renters and homeowners out there too, which is an economic issue, because if these people are spending, over 30% of their income just on housing, let alone cars, car insurance, student loans, they're not spending that money in the community.
No, they're not. And so that's why you want to right size your amount of affordable housing stock, whatever your circumstance. And St. Croix County definitely has a circumstance there where they have to look at it. Meanwhile, up in Ashland, Northland College, of course, had to go out of business. And so now we're continuing to see some of the follow-ups there. That includes some of the facilities like athletic fields.
Yeah, I did like this story because the fields are still going to be used for like youth sports leagues in the area. The baseball and softball fields at the college were sold to a nonprofit, which intends to continue using them for that purpose with the indoor practice and storage facilities. They're still looking for a buyer for the entire campus. We'll see when that comes to pass. But at this time, it's, nice to see that these fields that have been used for youth sports leagues in the past, the college was always really good about sharing that space, are going to continue to be used for that purpose in the future.
All right. We're talking to James Kelly, covering civic media stories in western and northern Wisconsin. And we're going to head to Spooner next. The emerald ash borer is again something, an issue that we've talked about here in our part of the state, in the Chippewa Valley, but certainly statewide as well. And it can be expensive to either treat or remove all these ash trees, and the city of Spooner is dealing with that right now.
Yeah. Now, Pat, I actually don't know if you recall this, but the last time we did this in person, I think it might have been Todd's show at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. This story had just come up that the city council was considering just treating 5 trees, period. 5 trees. It was going to cost about $200 per tree, and they couldn't come to an agreement on that. It was a split vote, so they didn't go forward with it. Now they're planning to apply for a DNR urban forestry grant to treat 100 trees, replace another 30, and remove 30 more. We're going to continue to see emerald ash borer spread across the region. Wildlife experts say they could eventually kill 99% of the ash trees in the state.
Wow.
So solutions.
Yeah. And obviously it's something that any single community would have a tough time funding on their own. And so why wouldn't you look for the grant funding? And then finally, we'll end up here back in the Chippewa Valley, where Marshfield Clinic is expanding its presence in both Eau Claire and Lake Hallie, which sits between Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls.
Yeah, certainly something I wish I had access to last week. They're planning to expand their facility at Marshfield Medical Center in Eau Claire to expand their emergency services. And they're also planning to create a multi-specialty ambulatory hub in Lake Hallie at a clinic that already exists there now. The big problem for people from Chippewa Falls and north has been just how long is it going to take me to get to a hospital if I need emergency care? Last week myself, I spent near $70 just on Ubers down to
wow.
Eau Claire, because I'm up in Chippewa Falls. So this will definitely be a big help to people up here to just kind of have a waypoint in the middle to say, can we treat you here? Can we solve this here? Otherwise, we have professionals who can take you to the next place, and we'll also have expanded services there.
James Kelly, sometimes getting the news firsthand as he explores these stories for you. James, feel better. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. And thanks to all of you for joining us here. I'm Pat Kreitlow, founding editor of Up North News, the Wisconsin Home for Courier Newsroom, a pro-democracy newsroom. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., right back here up north.